There he is!
You caught me dancing. Hi guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing very well. Welcome to Small Screen Live. This is a show where we go over pop culture news and just have a good time. Sorry about that. We've got we've got some exciting stuff to go over today. We've actually got an interview coming up later, which is going to be really good fun. And I just wanted to say hello to absolutely everybody in the chat. So should we get some of the comments up? James is here tonight, guys. So James is behind behind the scenes. CB3 Curtis says true dat. What are you saying true dat to?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sean Harrigan says happy Friday. I hope you're doing very well, Sean. Who else do we have in the chat? We have Kazax, who is very happy that Sean Harrigan's in the chat. And who else we've got? Sean Harrigan says, thanks for including the correct number of RS at Kazakhs. Don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, that's above my head.
Number of R's in Harrigan.
Ah, okay. All right, there we go. It's late. Curtis says, aloha. I hope you're doing well, Curtis. Who else do we have in the chat? We have Jedi Master EJ, and he's saying hello there. Waiting.
Hello there.
Hello there. We have Roberta in the chat as well. We have Bobby Anderson is in the chat saying all are well. Hope you're doing very well. Oh, sorry, I think I went a bit too. Yeah, you're going through all the.
Hello there.
Yeah. That.
Hello there.
God. Jimmy James. Yes, this is the one I was referring to. Hello, Bobby. I hope you're doing well. And and I think is that everybody? Is that everybody? Oh no, we got Danzig. We've got Danzig in the chat. I hope you're doing well. And we've also got Raj. Raj in the chat. First. What are you doing? Saying, hey guys, looking forward to the show as always. I hope you're doing well. And we've also got Farid over on Facebook. Hello, Farid. I hope you're doing well. You cut out that bit of the meme. That's better than the original. I have to say that is better than the original. And we've also got Clint Baker in the chat, and he's also behind the scenes as well. We're going to be talking to Clint in a hot minute. And Farid says he's watching you far from Azerbaijan. Wow. That's incredible. That's really cool.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. You're going to have Clint come on to do that, to do his...
You're a funny guy, Sully.
Right, so what are we talking about today? We're talking about Venom 2.
Call it, Sanchez, or you'll get a knuckle supper.
We're talking about how annoying my producer is, James, bringing in all them memes all the time and cutting me off mid-flow, which I'm sure he's going to do any second now. If I just keep on talking, there will be some point where he ends up cutting me off. That's going to be fun, isn't it? But yes, so...
Yeah.
I told you he's going to do something. We've got Doom Patrol, apparently. We've got Bond, and yes, we've got a lot to talk about. James Bond, No Time to Die. That just came out in the UK, and I think it's coming out. Is it next week in the US? It's definitely next week.
No spoilers, people. No spoilers.
Yes, James is very pissed off about spoilers, especially involving No Time to Die. So yeah, Venom 2. We've got to talk about leaks and stuff. But why don't we bring Clint into the show so we can see how Clint's doing? Come on, James, bring Clint in.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Hello there.
Hello there. How are you doing?
Wow.
There we go. That's what I wanted.
Wow.
I can't do it.
Dude, I'm happy to see you, man. There's been all kinds of crazy good news in the world.
In the world
with the Scarlets and the Johansons and the 007s and the Venoms and all those things out there. I've been in a great mood all day.
The Scarlett Johansson thing is pretty interesting. I think we're gonna maybe should we start with that? Maybe
we can start with whatever you want, man. This is your show.
Yeah, I want to start. I want to.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about ScarJo because, as you're alluding to, basically her and Disney settled outside of court. So how much did she make? I don't know, but probably quite a lot.
Yeah, it was kind of speculated at Deadline. Somebody at Deadline, I think, said they think somewhere around 40 mil on top of the 20 she already made. So it's hilarious, dude. Like they could have probably just done it like without all the drama, and it probably would have been over with and fine, and then probably would have saved a little money. But yep, crazy times.
But this is the thing that I was thinking.
How much do you think she would have made on the back end of a theatrical release?
Well, she wanted 50 million, didn't she? From that, that was, I think that's how much she sued for.
Didn't she have points though? And that was a projected number.
Yeah,
it was a project
on the back end.
It was a projected back end number. They're like, look, if y'all had y'all basically cut my legs out from beneath me and putting it out on streaming and out on the web where people can steal it and all these things, not having an exclusive theatrical release, y'all. Which we all know it wouldn't have done that well during a pandemic. Like it wouldn't have happened. But during a regular time, she may have. She probably would have made that much money. So anyway, I'm glad because they messed with they broke the contract. Like you can't break contract. So I'm glad it went down the way it did. But I think if they hadn't have. I think she would have gone for less if they hadn't have insulted her. You know what I mean? And like questioned her. Yeah, her moral upstandingness. I don't know. Already doing rants.
But that's why we have you on the show, Clint. That and your beautiful face.
Oh.
But no, honestly, I was looking at this, and why did I say honestly? There, I was being honest before, anyway. You're gonna have to talk because I'm just coughing.
All right, you're coughing. Well, I think it's great. I think this outcome is good for everyone. I also think it's great that not only like now everybody's acting like everything is all lovely, and they're like, yeah, we're great. We came to an agreement, and then and the other guy's like, yeah, we settled. We finally came to an agreement, and we look forward to all these projects that we have coming down the road. So that means that now not only did she get paid, but she's probably got a whole bunch of other movies. One of them is based on a
Tower of Terror.
Yeah,
the Tower of Terror movie.
So she's gonna make a bunch more money off of them, and everything's cool.
Well, she's definitely doing that film with them. I don't know if she's going to do another Marvel film with them. To be honest, I think she's kind of done with Marvel now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I want. Well, first off, there was the comments made by Netflix's boss Ted. Is it Ted Sarandos? His name?
I don't know that
guy. He's the CEO or the co-CEO of Netflix. and he just said the whole thing seems a bit weird to me. And he's like, you have to treat talent. Talent is important. You have to make sure they're happy. And I was just, it just made me think, like, does this mean the fact that the Disney settled? Do you think this might have any indication as to what's going to happen in the future with the way Disney manages and handles their talent? Do you think the Bob Chapek era of kind of trying to basically hardball talent into taking less money and just ignoring them, do you think that's just a little bit of a blip in Disney's history?
Well, like you reported before, they have already pulled that other guy. I can't think of his name right now. Rice.
Peter Rice.
Peter Rice, in to probably be the guy who deals with the talent. He's got a little bit of a better bedside manner. I almost said bedroom manner, bedside manner, and just talking to talent and dealing with talent. And so they're like, okay, we have this guy who's a tough businman, who's a bottom line business guy, and then you have this other guy that knows how to deal with talent. You should probably have him doing it. I think I know that the other day Chapek said something about even before, and maybe he already knew that they were going to go negotiate behind closed doors, but he'd he had made a comment the other day where he's like, we are having to rethink how we do deals with talent and stuff. He said that the other day. I don't remember verbatim what he said, but
yeah, that was about it. What he said,
and it was just it's basically like saying, we really screwed this. We really munted that one. We're gonna have to find new ways to deal with talent. So I think people are gonna be doing deals like Netflix does. Give them a bunch of money up front, and you're probably not gonna have these back end deals anymore. The other thing that I'm sure of is that they didn't want they didn't want this thing to go to trial. So basically, and I was thinking about it too. They don't want people to know how much money they're making streaming, and if they gotta show this information, the whole world's gonna know. And I was thinking about the strikes and everything else that if everyone, including makeup people and editors, know how much they're making, like the whole world is gonna be like, hey, give me some of that. So they're like, okay, let's go and deal with this third party person. We'll pay you a bunch of money. We'll all make this go away. We'll give you some future movies, and we're gonna pretend like we're not making that much money on streaming, like we have been pretending. So that's kind of where I think it's at. And maybe the strike has nothing to do with it, but still, they don't want talent to know how much money they're making. It's it's nobody's business.
Yeah, and as Curtis says, the strikes are coming, aren't they? And there is Vin Diesel poking his face out of a hot dog. Before I forget, yes, you can see the banner below us. Please like and subscribe. If you're watching this and you haven't liked or subscribed, please do both. If you don't like what we're doing, then stop watching. That's fine. But if you do like what we're doing, and if you like our videos, then please like and subscribe. We've actually just got a video up that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So do go and check that video out if you haven't already. It's all about the Punisher. And I have to say, James did a very good job on that video.
It's a lovely video. You guys both did an excellent job.
Well, James wrote it. I was his puppet, and I did everything he told me to do. And it turned out very...
What?
Okay, remember I didn't do everything he told me to do. I think he got a bit pissed off with me and told me to re-record stuff.
Uh-oh.
But the first take was the best, so I never used it.
Yeah. So you were his puppet? Was it? Were you like a marionette with strings, or did he have his hand up? Never mind. Let's change the subject.
No, it's fine.
I hope you're not a sock puppet. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not. Well, not entirely. But no, what you were alluding to there was completely right. It's like Disney does not want to know how much money they're making out of streaming, because I think the projected amount that they made out of Black Widow is like 124 million. They said from streaming alone. I'm pretty sure it's above that. Like the amount of people that paid to watch Black Widow, I'm pretty sure is quite high on Disney Plus compared to the amount that went to see it at the cinemas, especially in the United States. I think the vast majority of people probably decided to just watch it on Disney Plus rather than go to the cinema to watch it.
Yeah,
we bought it.
Yeah, I did both actually, which is a bit stupid, but I wanted to support it.
I saw it in the theater and had a great time. I was trying to remember. I've seen every other Disney release, on Disney Plus. Like,
yeah,
Like the $30 is
yeah.
a little steep when you don't have any. I don't have a wife or kids or anything like that, so it's like $30 for just me to watch this movie. That's a little bit
Yeah,
steep, you know.
that is a bit steep. But then, I mean, the thing is that what I was thinking about with this is that they kind of what they really wanted to do was just stop everything and make sure that people weren't going like that. We were hearing rumors of what are their names? Emily Blunt and Emma Stone
Mhm.
possibly doing similar things and suing Disney because they did the same thing with their movies. What happened there, though, that's different to here is that they both got sequels. So they're getting Cruella 2 and Jungle Cruise 2. So it's like if you're going to get a sequel, which potentially will come out in cinemas, hopefully, once those films are done, you're not really going to want to piss off the company you're making the movie for. Scarlett Johansson was a different case because she's basically done, really. The Tower of Terror film might not have happened, but I don't think she really cared about that anyway. That's just a kind of neat payday for her, and probably will be a decent movie, but, you know, she can survive without that, and she could probably survive the rest of her career without working for Disney again.
Yeah.
She's worth over $100 million. She
Yeah.
doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Curtis, yes, it is Jungle Cruise 2. I've heard it's called Jungle Cruise 2 Electric Boogaloo. So that's going to be a real fun movie.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, this it's an interesting little bit of news. That's you know, you got Bob Chapek popping up there, his ugly face coming up, and
Yeah.
what is up with the whole? What's his name again?
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Why is he like? He seems to be friend of the show, Sam Elliott.
He's awesome.
He is awesome, but why does he keep on popping up? Did he come? And this is another one. James is just bringing them all up now. Oh dear. But yes, so oh, here we go. And you can buy. Where can you get those T-shirts?
Nowhere. Those are custom jobs.
They're exclusive.
Been a while for RoboCop.
Here we go. There's RoboCop for you guys. Yeah, so I think that was a pretty neat way to start the show. Talk about Disney and shit all over Disney, but you know what? They paid up, and hopefully everyone's happy according to their statements that both sides made. Scarlett Johansson is happy, and the president of Disney, I think it was Alan something or other, I can't remember his last name, was also
Alan
happy.
Horn.
It's not Alan Horn. Alan Horn's gone, unfortunately, I think.
Yeah.
Alan Trumpet.
Alan Trumpet, Alan Saxophone.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's good. It's awesome, and like Disney's reputation is restored. They paid.
Is it restored?
Yeah, everyone was taken care of. Everybody got future movies.
They look really bad. Let's be honest. They look really bad.
No.
Yeah, they look pretty bad. But you know what? I feel like the right outcome happened, so I think it's good. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, they would, as you said, they were never gonna let this thing go to court, because if this thing went to court, they would look terrible, and she'd probably end up getting even more money than she just got in the settlement. But you know what? This was the aim of this whole thing, was to have them settle out of court, maybe get max 50 million out of them. 50,000 wouldn't have been much. But I mean, yeah, we're gonna. It's kind of, the story's kind of done now. Disney looks kind of shit out of this. They honestly, they look really bad. The way they manage talent the way they treat their talent has been terrible ever since Bob Chapek's come in. Is that down to Bob Chapek alone? Well, the difference is that he's now CEO and Bob Iger isn't, and this didn't happen under Bob Iger. So put two and two together, and you get Bob Chapek. Right, shall we move? What do you want to say?
I was just gonna say, the lesson is you step up to Black Widow, she's gonna get down in her stance and kick your ass. Exactly. That's what she did. So
she kicked Disney's ass.
Yes. So congrats, Scarlett Johansson. We were rooting for you, and we're happy with the outcome.
Yes, we are I was very happy about that bit of news. Another bit of news that I wanted to talk to you about was, I don't know how much of this we can really discuss here, because I know people don't like spoilers. But did you see the post-credit scene for Venom 2?
Oh yeah.
So you did.
Oh yeah.
Now, if there's anyone that does not like to listen to spoilers about things like this, then turn away now. But honestly, at this point,
we could say it for the end of the show.
Do you want to save it for the end of the show because it's at the very beginning of the headline? So I thought you might want to.
I thought we were just going to talk about the movie. I didn't know we were going to do the post.
Well, who's seen the movie? I haven't. Have you?
I have.
Oh, you have.
Oh yeah, I've saw it.
Okay, all right. Go on. Talk about the movie. Did you like it?
Yeah, Clint likes everything.
There we go.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we say hi to the new people in the chat?
Yes,
yeah, let's
go
do
ahead.
that.
Let's do that.
Hello there.
Hello, everybody. Who's there? Like and subscribe, please. We've got Reese75. God, it's been I think you're on here most of the weeks, actually, but he says hello there. Will he get a hello there?
Hello, Peter. Hello there.
Yeah, he's James is very proud of that one.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? I think we have J.
You lie.
JLS Comics is in the chat as well. Says happy Friday to you, JLS Comics. We also have Leroy Kong. Hello, Edward, Clinton, everyone. Don't forget James Leroy. Come on.
Yeah, he's
James
everyone. He's
is everyone. James is everyone and everywhere and everything.
That's right.
Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry. You're only a couple minutes late. We also have Eddie Gomez says at Small Screen, can you tell at least one of the 31 projects Marvel is working on?
Hello to the latest video.
Exactly. Yeah, I knew you brought that up for that, James. Yes, but go watch our latest video because there is one project that is pretty cool that's part of the 31, and that's Punisher. But do go and watch the video.
I honestly didn't read that comment before I pulled it up, so that was just happy. That was happy coincidence.
Yeah, that was good timing though.
Who else do we have? I can see that we have JLS comment says, if I sue Disney, maybe they'll put me in the Tower of Terror as well. Ooh. I really like that ride, actually. It's still here in Paris, the Tower of Terror. I think it was replaced with the Guardians of the Galaxy ride in America. Eddie Gomez asks, is Keanu Reeves a lock deal?
Here's the thing about Eddie Gomez. We haven't seen him in a while or her in a while.
Yes.
And it's the question. It's the question person. That's the nickname.
I know.
The question.
But lock deal for what, Eddie?
I think Marvel. I think that's what they're referring to.
Honestly, at this point, no. I don't think that's going to happen, but I haven't heard anything. And I don't think I've read anything recently either. Like, it tends to be one of those things that comes up on we got this covered, where they publish an article being like, Keanu Reeves in talks for Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is always the one that comes up with Keanu Reeves. He'll never play Ghost Rider. I can say.
And then, then there was Kraven the Hunter. I heard people, which is Sony, but still, like people had talked about that.
Now he was approached for that though. Mm-hmm. He was it was him and oh god, the guy that he brought up earlier. What's his face? Forgetting his name. Adam. Is it Adam?
Adam
Ray
Driver.
Winstone.
No. Come on.
Adam
Star Wars.
Driver? What's
Adam Driver. Adam Driver.
Yeah.
There we go. But I'm so bad. This is the thing I'm getting. I'm terrible at names. We also so yeah, I can't answer that question, Eddie.
Well, they said he's definitely going to be in the Matrix coming up, the new Matrix movie.
Yeah. And John Wick.
He's locked in for that, and John Wick.
He's a lock. He's a lock for those two movies. We also have Robert Lauder in the chat, my brother.
Hey.
Come on, bring up Robert. This is like, hello, Robert.
I can go back to bed if you want.
No, I just wanted to bring up Robert saying hello. Thank you very much for watching.
I was saving Robert for the end.
Oh, well.
You got to give him the props.
Yes.
Hey, Robert.
I hope you enjoyed No Time to Die. Robert got to see No Time to Die the other day with Freddie. They both went together. I was very jealous, but
son of a bitch.
I hope they had fun. They got to see it in IMAX. That was cool. But yes, James, bring up the other comments. Come on, let's bring on the comments. JLS Comics says, how come James doesn't stay on screen? That's because James thinks he's Batman. And he likes to do that thing that Batman does, where he talks to you and then vanishes, and then James Gordon's like, "Where did he go? He does that to me every time. You actually talking of
Evidence.
Batman.
I'm looking for evidence. I found some evidence over here.
Yeah. Talking of Batman, I've been listening to the podcast, the HBO Max Batman podcast. Have you heard about this?
Nope.
No, it's got Jeffrey Wright as the voice of Batman, which is actually kind of weird because I was listening to it right after I'd watched What If, and Jeffrey Wright, of course, is the voice of the Watcher. By the way, What If episode 8? Phew, what an episode! But we'll talk about that in a bit, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of weird going from that to then being like, oh, Jeffrey Wright's now the voice of Batman, and knowing that he's playing Jim Gordon in the upcoming Batman movie. It's just a bit of a mind. Yeah, exactly. And James is messing around with our background for some reason. All right, who else do we have in the chat? Is there anyone else that we should we should address? Oh, Eddie Gomez, you love your questions. Any update on Cavill joining Marvel? Well, the last update I got was that he was in meetings with Marvel in London. The thing is, though, Henry Cavill seems to want to be part of every single franchise in the world. He recently said he'd do anything to be part of the Bond franchise. So, of course, Henry Cavill was he was. It was between him and Daniel Craig to be Bond before Casino Royale. They were the last two actors that it got down to. The role eventually went to Daniel Craig, and Craig did. I think he's done an excellent job as Bond. Henry Cavill, honestly, would have been a fantastic Bond as well. If you've watched films like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., if you've watched Mission Impossible Fallout, he plays spies in both of those films, and he is brilliant. Now, could he play like an evil 00 agent in a Bond movie?
I don't see why he couldn't play 007 now. The only reason they didn't cast him last time is because I think he was only 22 years old at the time. He was too young to. But now he looks like somebody who's experienced in killing. You know?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. He is. Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about who will be the next Bond, and the name that seems to be on everybody's lips at the moment is Tom Hardy.
Yep.
But honestly, I think I do think Henry Cavill would be a better choice. Like, I watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Recently again, and I just kept on thinking, God, he would look the part, wouldn't he? Like, immediately be like, yeah, I can imagine that this guy is a secret agent. He's probably a bit too big now. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he'd have to slim down a bit, like to play the role. Maybe it'd be a bit weird to have such a big Bond. But I do like the idea a lot, and
I tweeted out a photo that I saw with him in a tux with a gun with a silencer that looked good. I was like, whoa! And it looked good enough that I was like, I'm going to tweet this, and I was like, now everybody's going to think I'm pro Cavill. I'm actually pro Tom Hardy for the role, but because I think he's got enough. He's got a lot of personality. Sometimes Cavill's a little bit stale, you know what I mean, personality wise. Yes. And if you like Daniel Craig, he's like the strong silent type. But if you go back, I grew up with Roger Moore, who's is cool, but he's a little bit goofy too. You know what I mean? And I think Tom Hardy could do that.
Would you like to Roger Moore? I just always remember that bit with seriously, James, what are you doing with the backgrounds? You're going mad.
I've got to upload all the pictures of Vince's, so I got to use different brand.
Okay. Right.
I was going to warn you, but
but yeah, so I don't know what he's doing. I'm sorry, guys. It's technical difficulties. But the thing I'll always remember about Roger Moore was, I think it was in dear God. I think it was in Octopussy, where he's all like he's going to meet the boss of this big operation, and it's a woman that comes in, and he just looks at her and goes, "A woman." just I love that. I'm like, this is just rewatching it. I was like, oh my God, this is so like, it's just so bad. It's aged so poorly.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, it's good. It's not really good fun. It's sexist. But he was always kind of a bit tongue in cheek, wasn't he, Roger Moore?
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting if they kind of, in a weird way, kind of go back to that for like a movie. Just do like a one-off movie where they cast someone utterly ridiculous, and they're like, and then they're like, yeah, that didn't work, because it probably wouldn't.
I feel like Tom Hardy's the best of both worlds, though, because he can do stone cold serious, and he can also, as you can see at Venom, he can do ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really well. You know what I mean? To be like freaking out and climbing into an aquarium and eating lobsters, like it's ridiculous, but it's done so well. Like the guy's awesome.
Yeah.
I think he's great.
The movie for me, the when I was watching it, I thought, oh my god, he really could play Bond, was Inception. In that film, the character that he plays is very, very Bond-like, and I was like, yeah, he'd be really, really good. And Christopher Nolan did say that he would love to have Tom Hardy play Bond in a Bond movie that he would direct. And you know what? This is my prediction. I think they're going to do it, because this is I've been. I've been thinking about this for quite some. Thank you, James. I've been thinking about this for quite some time, and the more I think about it, the more sense it makes. Because not only is Christopher Nolan no longer attached to Warner Brothers, he no longer is making movies for them. He's going to be making movies for Universal. Universal Pictures is the studio now that makes the Bond movies. I mean, I know it's going to be a bit of a weird situation in the future with Amazon now being involved as well, but Universal, they have for I think the entirety, maybe one of them was Sony, but they have been the distributors of Bond movies. So it would make sense for me to think this is now the time. This is the perfect time to bring in Christopher Nolan to do one Bond movie and have him have Tom Hardy be his Bond. Which is why I think it's kind of perfect. It's the perfect time. Tom Hardy's the perfect age. Christopher Nolan is at the right time. He's preparing another movie that he wants. I can't remember what it is. The next movie he's going to be doing. Do you know?
I don't know, but I was just thinking he'd be like, "I'm Bond, James Bond." What the next movie that Christopher Nolan's doing? Is that what you're? I think it was a war movie, if I remember correctly. It's a war movie, and no, wait.
It's about some historical event, but I can't remember which one. If anyone in the chat knows what his next movie is, please let me know, because I'm having many memory blanks tonight. JLS Comics says Nolan will call it Backwards Time to Die. I like that. it would be all about time.
Yeah.
You know, No Time to Die would probably be the perfect Christopher Nolan Bond movie. That'd be the perfect name for it. But I would love to see that. Eddie Gomez apparently is desperate for Tom Hardy to play Wolverine. Don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
Mate. But right, we've got wait. Now I'll go through the comments. Who else do we have, James? Let's bring up some comments before we move on. Sean Harrigan says, if Nolan did Bond, I would geek out for weeks. Yeah, I think loads of people would. I think loads of people would love that to happen. Who else do we have in the chat? Raj says, Cavill's size would be fine as James Bond. All the James Bonds were different. I mean, Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore weren't the most athletic people in the world. He's got to be honest, Pierce Brosnan, when he did Bond, was he was in pretty good shape. Roger Moore not so much, because Roger Moore by the end, if you watch like the last one of his movies, which was it Live and Let Die? No, that was his best Bond movie. A View to a Kill might have been his last one, and he looked bad in that movie. He just looked old, and I think people have been saying something slightly similar about Daniel Craig in No Time to Die. It's like he's looking a bit long in the tooth in this final Bond movie, so it's good that this is his last one. But who else do we have?
Came out of retirement, it's like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. I think it worked for the story.
Yeah.
Kazakh says Cavill played a parody of 007 in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and I think it'll play against him. Now, I don't think it was a parody of 007. He was an American agent in that. He was a CIA agent, wasn't he? An operative, and it's based on a very famous TV show from the 1960s, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So it's just a spy thing, and he just he's a spy that wears nice suits. Yeah, in that sense, he's similar to Bond, but that's kind of where the similarity ends. He looks the part, but then he's going around with American accents, and his character's not very Bond-like in the sense that he's kind of in a way too suave. If you think about all the other Bonds, they all kind of there is that element. I think the only one that was really too suave was Roger Moore. All the other ones had that element of kind of thinking on they're kind of on the fly, and things do go wrong. And also the other thing is that Henry Cavill's character in Man from U.N.C.L.E. isn't really a womanizer. Oh no, he is, but they're the same. They're exactly the same. they're exactly the same.
I say we get Vin Diesel as 007.
Yeah.
Bond, James Bond.
Oh dear.
Family.
Oh, there's this guy on YouTube that did this whole thing about why the next Bond shouldn't be black. He's a horrible man, actually from Canada, called Steven Crowder. Have you heard of this guy?
No, but why are you advertising him if he's such a jerk?
Because he's a jerk. No, because he did this whole thing where he's like, the next Bond shouldn't be black, and then proceeded to do impressions of African Americans.
Oh,
being like, imagine if this guy was Bond. I'm like, I was watching this thing and I was like, dude, like,
it's like doing an impression of a Canadian.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to stop that, by the way, James. I'm never going to do that again. But what I was saying is like he completely misunderstood who Bond is. He's like, it's almost like he doesn't think that there are black people living in England, in the United Kingdom. I was like, James Bond isn't American, so what are you doing this whole thing? And the actor that I really think should get the chance to play Bond is Idris Elba.
Absolutely.
I would love to see Idris Elba or John Boyega. John Boyega would be a really good choice as well. So yeah, I just wanted to say that Steven Crowder's an idiot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I agree with you if that's true. So.
Yeah.
John Boyega, I just want to go pinch his cheeks. I don't think of him like
he'll get to that
Idris. Yeah, maybe he just needs to age a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But like Idris Elba would be perfect. I think he's cool.
I think
he's very cool. He might be getting up there, but he's cool.
Guys, if you can like and subscribe, that'd be wonderful. If you're watching and you haven't liked and subscribed yet, that would be great. It's time, I think, to bring in our guest, and that's Vince. James, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. And hello, Vince.
How's it going?
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Very good, thank you.
You guys can hear me okay, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you sound
Just
good.
want to make sure.
Yeah.
This is
thank you for having me on.
Edward Vince.
No problem.
And Clint Vince. Yeah, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. I've been a fan of your work for since I ran into your work, I think 5 years ago.
Oh, really? Is that far back?
So I think so. I think it was when. Well, we can get into your art in a bit, but anyways, yeah. Welcome, Vince. Thank you for being here. If for those of you who don't know, Vince is an illustrator and digital painter. Does some fantastic work. Danzig says hi to you, Vince.
Hi, Danzig. How's it going?
Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen here, and I'm gonna show some of your art. Okay. Can you let us know how you started?
Yeah, sure. I loved drawing since I was very young. When I was about 4, my dad used to draw doodles for me of airplanes and stuff like that, and I used to love it so much. I just kept on, I would get paper and just begin to draw whatever I could, and kept doing it. And then in early 70s, I discovered comics, and shortly thereafter, I came across Kirby, which really got me really heavy into comics. His work had a really big impact on me. So I kept on like that, drawing through school, and it became a passion to draw every day. And I was a bit of a perfectionist. If I did any wrong line, out would go the paper. Start a new one. So I was extremely demanding on myself. I'm sure a lot of artists are like that as well. Then when I came about high school, I wasn't sure if I really wanted to be an artist because I wasn't sure, especially being in Miami. I wasn't sure at the time if there was a market that that I could do well in here. I wanted to do comics. That was my main goal, but I didn't want to go to New York. I didn't feel I could make it at that time up there.
What were some of the books that you used to follow?
Oh,
that really inspired you, besides Kirby?
Huh?
Kirby, obviously.
Yeah, the majority of the Kirby titles, whether it's DC or Marvel, I would pursue all of them. But I was also, as a kid, I was also heavy into film. And one of the things that I wanted to be during high school was also a movie director. But that's a really tough one to follow through with, and I wasn't sure, what to do. But as soon as I graduated high school, I went into the art field directly, and I've been surviving in it ever since. I've been thankfully doing quite well. I got into commercial. That's that was and there were many aspects of the commercial art field that I went into, but I began doing actually T-shirt designs, and I've done a few comics along the way, but the majority of the work I've done has been storyboards for international TV commercials and music videos. And I've worked with some well-known names in the field, at least when it was back in the early 2000s. I worked with Steve Beck. I'm not sure if you guys know. He did 13 Ghosts. And he also worked with Industrial Light and Magic. He was I think it was a special effects director or art director in Indiana Jones and the Abyss. And I also got to work with one of the directors from the Book of Eli.
Oh, nice.
And also with Rhythm and Hughes, who did the special effects for the Hulk and a whole bunch of animation features and stuff like that. I worked for those people. So eventually my name seems to have gotten out there in storyboarding nationally and sometimes internationally. I don't know how that happened, but I guess the people, they give your name out and stuff, and when they like your work, and it's been like that ever since. I tackle different things in the field, you could say.
Do you remember what your first gig was? Your first paid gig?
Well, actually, it was coming right out of high school. A friend of mine. You mean it way back then, or just overall?
Yeah, you said you went into the commercial field right away.
Yeah,
I was wondering what your first gig for that was.
Oh, okay. It was actually with the T-shirt companies, and there was the biggest one here in Miami. They worked for Disney. They had a contract with Disney, so I did a lot of their T-shirt designs, and I got paid really, really well for it. So I go, wow, if I can keep this up, I could actually survive doing this freelance. And I enjoyed doing freelance. I didn't enjoy having somebody over my shoulder. So I continued after that. Followed up, and whatever would come up that I could tackle, I'd go into it. I did furniture design. I did the T-shirts, like I mentioned, and I stayed on T-shirts for a few years, freelancing. And then a friend of mine who worked for a major ad agency here contacted me for storyboards, and then I broke into the storyboarding field through there. So I've done storyboard work for TV commercials, through ad agencies, and production film companies. So.
Wow. Do you work primarily in? I'm gonna stop this share for a minute. Do you work primarily in in digital now, right?
Yes, I left traditional in 2005, and I decided to go with digital because it was much more efficient. So I stuck with that. I liked how fast I was able to complete everything for the client, especially when you have to make changes. It can be a real pain.
Right. Do you miss the old pencil and paper and ink?
No.
Do you still no strictly digital?
No. the flexibility and speed I get is tremendous. Production improves by, I don't know, I'd say probably 150%, if I could say that.
Yeah.
If a client comes back, look, I got to change this when it was on paper, then you have to either restart the image or pray you don't break something when you're erasing, things like that. But digital's been
still ink on it.
Yeah. Also, when when ideas spring up with something of fantasy based or whatever it is, I can lay everything out much faster. Especially, I don't have to. I hated fighting with paints, and if something spilled, the splatters. I also used to work with airbrush, and sometimes you're going really well, and all of a sudden the airbrush decides to throw a splat of paint on the canvas, paper, and you got to come back and fix everything again. So
yeah, once I started drawing on my tablet here, it's so much more efficient. And if you have to like change an angle or have an arm or shorten or something like that, right? Especially with inking too, I find inking doesn't take as long as it would traditionally. But one thing I do miss is like sitting on my couch with my sketchbook. Every once in a while, I'll still sketch in the sketchbook, but then you just take a photo and then just ink it, right? So,
right, yeah.
But if you were gonna do a comic book now, like, do you have one that you in the back of your mind that you've been planning for a while to do? Would you decide to go back and would you ever venture into the comic book industry again?
Well, I actually sent in samples about 2 or 3 times back in the late 90s, and I sent to Marvel and I got rejected. I guess it depends on the style they're looking for at the time.
Well, you join a long line of successful artists who get rejected from Marvel. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's tricky to get in. If you have connections, that can probably help out a great deal. But I didn't, so I would just send in my work and hope that it would be seen. And thankfully, it did. They responded pretty quick, but it wasn't what they were looking for. So I have more of an old school approach to my work, so maybe that's. I try to keep it a little bit contemporary, but maybe they weren't looking for that. They, especially when Image was really big at the time, and they had Jim Lee approach to things and stuff.
Rob Liefeld.
Huh?
Yeah.
Lots of pouches, no ankles, can't draw the feet.
Yeah.
So,
you want right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
That makes you wonder,
Yeah.
You say, no, it's not what I'm looking for, but then you see some other things that get published, and you're like, well.
It's like every time you post a piece, I'm just like, how come this guy is not working on pages right now, Like, I know you got your corporate stuff, but I mean, of all the independent comic book artists and professional comic book artists that I have on Facebook, like, I see some stuff and they're all talented, but your stuff just blows me out of the water, not to blow smoke up you or anything, but I'm always like, how come this guy's not at least doing, getting a contract to do a page a week or something, right? I mean, if I like your style is the closest I can think of right now where you're at with your inking and your form and even with your lighting when you do the very intricate painting ones, it's kind of like Frank Cho, but more detailed and really just elevated, right? So if he can go into Marvel and do the Savage Land of Wolverine and stuff, you'd be able to do a flagship title no problem. This is my honest opinion, and have you submitted again to them, or I'm surprised they haven't headhunted you, or?
Well, basically, I'm unknown, to be honest. I mean, people know about me because I showcase my work wherever I can, but as far as the publishing companies, I'm totally unknown. I have done some indie work. I did for a Zenoscope. A comic. The thing with comics is probably maybe when I was younger, I would have been much more willing to do it than I am now.
Because you're at the board 10 hours a day, right? So
it's a whole different monster, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Since I don't do it continuously, maybe I would I would be more efficient at it. But when I tackle an actual comic book, it really is not only a lot of work, but things don't. You worry about the style remaining consistent, especially in my case where I'm always experimenting. If you guys can tell from the images, I'm always experimenting with different looks and styles. So every time the few times that I did tackle these independent comics, and their pay is relatively less because they are smaller publishers, but I do it as a venture to try to see how I can do each time. But I get really frustrated sometimes because it's very, you got to worry about designing the page and the layouts, and sometimes they ask you to do pencils and inks, so that you're doing double the job. So it's a very time consuming, unless I got and did a style that was a lot more efficient to work in comics, because a lot of artists try to do that. They try to make it a style that's efficient. And
exactly, less detail, and that's why you see a lot of more art now that's kind of got a bit of a Disney style to it. It's less detail but more expressive, and they get away with it more, and then they can crank out the pages faster, right?
Yeah.
So, but like I kind of see like like Mobius, he would put out a graphic novel like every in stints of 5 years to a decade, right? So, is there any like story in the back of your brain that you would self-publish, like do like an epic like 300-page or 200-page graphic novel?
Oh, I got a folder full of ideas of different stories that I've collected throughout the years that I sketch up, especially from dreams and everything, because I have very vivid dreams, and I immediately jot them down when I can. But yeah, I have a whole mess of stories I would love to publish, but since I know that's probably not going to happen, I may just go onto one of these like webtoons or something, and try to maybe publish strips, bit by bit, stuff like that. And maybe see if it catches on or not.
I don't know. I think you should like come up with a pitch and go over to Image, because they're pretty forgiving with their creators for the months between books, right? So if you want to put a book like quarterly, you can put out a book like Saga's been going on for years, and it's only at issue 25 or like 42 or something, right? So I think that would fit your mold. I don't know, man. I see the talent there, and every time I see, I'm just like, man, I would love to read a whole book of this illustration,
Yeah.
So.
There's also 2000 AD as well. You can tell that your dread is your Judge Dredd is incredible. I'm pretty sure they'd like to have some new blood in there as well, because I can't think of the last Judge Dredd comic. I think it came out a while back actually, but they do some kind of different. I think they're also UK based as well, and they're a bit smaller as well. So yeah.
Well, I mean, if they are they still publishing or?
Yeah, 2018 is publishing.
And I was thinking heavy metal too, right?
Yeah.
Like right up there with 2000 AD and heavy metal.
One of my main goals was always to try to work doing covers. I think I got it to a point where I preferred wanting to do covers. Yeah,
you would be, and if you started doing covers, you'd be so much in demand, Vince. Like I don't know if you know. Shout out to Mike Ruth. He's probably not watching. He's like really busy. Do you know Mike Ruth? I think he follows you on Facebook there. If not, I'll introduce you guys. He does a lot of covers and variant covers. Like he just did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin variant covers, and he makes a pretty good living at that. But like, man, if you got into doing covers, you'd be right up there with like Steve McNiven and Glenn Fabry and stuff. You would be in demand.
Thanks.
Because
glad you think so.
Everything has a variant cover now.
Yeah.
If a Kickstarter has like 18 different variant covers from different artists, and that's another thing. Kickstarter is weird to me because I don't know, like in the 80s and 90s, all self-publishing was like you had to go to a comic book store and find, or you mail in catalog, or you just write the publisher yourself, right? And then they would send it to you in the mail. But when you were self-publishing, you'd have to save up like $1,000 for a print run of 800 and hope that makes enough so you can go and do issue number 2. But now with Kickstarter, it's like, hey, give us your money, and here's your rewards, and then we'll do the book. And then so a guy says, hey, I want to be a comic book editor, and then he'll go on Facebook and he'll hire an artist and he'll hire a writer, and then raise the money on Kickstarter. And that's why it seems like it's so. And I'm going on a bit of rant here, so I'm going to cue up the applause. But it seems like that. It's very saturated now in the independent comic book market. It's before there was, and I'm probably talking out of my lane here with the crowd I'm in, besides maybe Vince, but to explain it, is like in the 90s, there was a UFO, United Fanzine organization, and there were a bunch of independents from North America. And then you have the UK ones, and you had they were called zines or self-published comic books, right? Some were photocopied, some were actually printed. And you would go, and that's who you meet at Artist Alley, and you'd pick up those books, or you get them through the mail. I do miss getting new comics in the mail every couple of days, and not like Marvel, DC, but from people that actually sat down. You can tell they penciled and inked it, and personal story most of the time, or fun superhero stuff. But yeah, I find it very, it's oversaturated, so it's hard, but it's also beneficial to artists, especially cover artists, because all those variants are in demand, and everyone's and their brother has a Kickstarter right now.
Call it, Sanchez, or you'll get a knuckle supper.
I've got to give myself that.
Yes.
Hey, I was.
By the way, a shout out to Kaz Axe and Danzig. Thank you for your kind words. I was reading your comments.
Yeah, we'll go through the comments.
Oh, by the way,
Kaz talking about me.
Since you mentioned Kickstarter, I thought about that because a lot of people have recommended it, but I'm always worried if I can come through and actually, I figure, what am I going to give back to the people that actually supported my project and stuff like that? So I also think about, okay, I'll put something together and maybe do it through on-demand printing. Just they can order the book when they want, and the company prints it up and mails it out to them. And it handles I think maybe one of the more demanding aspects of it's just getting the books out there. What I would do on my part is announce it where I can, and but the first thing I got to do is put a book together.
Yeah.
That's what I've always been avoiding. But I also thought about posters.
Yeah, posters. Yeah, well, see, that's kind of like cover posters, movie posters, right? Like, there's no one's really doing any Drew Struzan work kind of like that much anymore. I think the last artistic poster I saw was that red one I sent you, Shang-Chi, Edward.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a good poster, but that's more graphic design.
Yeah,
I know I just kicked a bunch of dirt in Kickstarter's eye and everything, but it's a very useful tool, and I'm very happy that a lot of projects have gotten made from it. But I think if you decide, hey, I want to do a 100-page graphic novel, and you made a Kickstarter with your artwork and your presentation, you'd be able to raise like 30 grand.
Wow.
You see some of these artists, they're raising like 200, 250 grand. I don't what was Graham Nolan at when we interviewed him? Edward was he was at 100.
He was at 100 something. Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, you're seeing more and more artists and comic book writers do that actually, that we used to work or still do in many cases with the big publishers like Marvel, DC, Image, and now they're moving more and more over to Kickstarter because unfortunately we're seeing a lot with comic book writers and artists. They're just not paid very well by these companies. Look at what happened to Ed Brubaker. He's paid pretty well now, I hope, but it's like this work for hire business, and it doesn't really help them. And then these companies end up making millions and billions of dollars with these huge characters that they've made, and the whole thing with whose estate was it last week we were talking about? It's not Jack Kirby's estate, was it? It was Steve Ditko's. Yeah, and they were suing Marvel, trying to get the rights back to Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and I think loads of other characters as well. So this happens all the time, and it's Kickstarter.
Well, Jack Kirby is one of the biggest examples of that.
Yeah, I think it was 42 lawsuits that the estate his estate filed against Marvel and DC. But
Wow.
it's just happening more and more, and now you're seeing more and more like really well established like comic book writers having and artists having to go over to Kickstarter to get their work funded, because these production companies and publishers just aren't paying them enough, and they're not sustainable. So now that's probably the best way to get a comic book published is through Kickstarter. And there are loads of other ones, Indiegogo and things like that.
There's almost 22,000 Kickstarter projects for comic books.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Right now.
Yeah.
No, and the best thing these publishers can hope for is to get picked up either for movies or TV. And, and merchandising, that's where the real money's at too.
Merchandising, the George Lucas way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of these are at like 120,000, 22,000.
They do pretty well, like the big ones.
94,000 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was real curious. What kind of software and hardware do you use? I'm a tech guy, so I'm like, is he got an iPad with an Apple Pen, or is he working on or like how do you do what you do?
Well, I still got believe it or not, I work on my Dell PC since 2005. It's an i5. I'm running like about, I think, 16 gigs of RAM. I got a Wacom tablet. I was in the process of wanting to buy, at the time, one of those monitors where you can draw on, but they were relatively expensive still at the time.
You just answered my question.
Yes, I've actually stuck with my old Intuos 4. It's still here. Look, see if I can get it. Still here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Nice.
Cool.
And I got this one also back in 2005. It's still working like it's a workhorse. This thing doesn't stop. And I bought a newer one. I would buy, but I draw so. You know what the thing is? You know why I also haven't gotten a monitor? And I've told other people who have asked me the same question. Why don't you get one? Well, I've gotten used to not seeing my hand in the way when I'm drawing, and especially because I'm a lefty. I'm left-handed, and it kind of gets in your way sometimes. So the fact that I just look up at the screen and I see nothing, it's like I'm controlling it with my mind, and that's about it.
That's the opposite. Every time I use a Wacom, I couldn't stare at the screen. For some reason, I have to look at my hand. That's why, like, the Huon tablet I got a couple years ago has just been great. Drawing on an iPad or something worked well, but just having to look up at the screen while I was drawing is just very difficult for me. I had that separation for some reason.
No, and it makes sense. Especially when you get used to traditional, having to look up and down to make sure you're tracing. But before I went full, I used to use the tablet. I had one of the early Wacom tablets, and what I would use it for is just simply coloring. You could do some inking, but I still didn't find it very efficient, especially with Photoshop. I never liked Photoshop for inking. I felt like I was drawing with crayons. Some people, I guess, are more proficient at it, especially at the time if they did that, because I remember seeing a lot of people using it for comic books and stuff. But a short time after, somebody on Facebook recommended Manga 5, which is the one that was out at the time, which is now Clip Studio. And once I tried it out, I go, this for inking that's it, because it was so smooth. It did everything. It was almost like reading my mind every time I threw the line. And it was, I was very fast with it. I still am, because it was something easy to get into. But when I first broke into full digital, I took some time off for about a week or two to really get comfortable with the tablet, to make it feel like I was drawing naturally. And then I continued working. I began working on commercial projects more and more with it, until I was proficient enough that I didn't need paper and pencil anymore. And it's been that way ever since, especially with painting. Like I was telling you guys.
That's awesome.
Was your Wacom tablet the one you had, was it gray 4x5 grayish blue.
Yes. No, it
Yeah,
was actually
nice.
a little bit. It was the 8x6, I believe, is the one that I had bought.
No, I had the 4x5.
In the area,
But we
actually, it seems small, but it actually works because it covers your whole screen. So you get used to it, and it actually. I was like, how's this gonna work at first? How is this gonna come across when I make because I like doing broad and very quick strokes with the pen, very fast. And I figured, how is this going to respond? At the beginning, it wasn't that great. If you went too fast, especially in Photoshop, you get like this very polygon-shaped line if you went too quick. So I'd have to go very slow, and sometimes that can work against you.
Yeah, I noticed I had to switch over to Clip Studio, and I was trying to get a specific line right. Just Photoshop just couldn't replicate that. I tried everything. We have a super chat from Danzig. It's a question for Vince. Would you consider appearing at comic conventions in Artist Alley? I think a lot of people would love to see your work, buy your art, or even commission a piece of your art. He loves your work.
Thank you, Dex. I appreciate that. Yeah, a bunch of people have asked me, why don't I go? And I don't know. I've planned to a few times, and then it just passes up, and I don't go. I just feel, to be honest with you, I feel like since I'm not even known, people are. That's the impression I get for myself, is that I'll be sitting there and everybody is just going to pass by and not even pay attention to me, because
the art will draw them in for sure.
Yeah, if they look down, they're stopping.
Yeah.
Or even like, you have them on the side of the curtains and stuff, right? Like in the booths, man, they would just like come right for you, beeline. Yeah, Danzig's right. That would be really good too.
I think I'm going to see if I could try it out. Maybe this coming year or at the end of this year or something, when they come down to Miami again.
You're what they call an undiscovered gem, Vince. Like this time next year, boom, super famous. It'll be like, hey, come on the show. And you'll be like, nah, I'm too busy. I'm too busy talking to Finn Jones and Sumu Liu, so I can't talk to you.
to Finn Jones.
Well, the famous people that we know, and then they got busy, they got famous, so they don't message us anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. But actually, I just want to ask Dan. Actually, if you can let me know. We are going to be at Comic-Con in London, so I think Dan's in the UK base. So do let me know if you're there. And we can meet up. That'd be pretty cool. Anyone that's in the London area, we can meet up at Comic-Con. But I agree with Dan and James, Vince. I think you should like that would be a pretty interesting opportunity, I think. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people would stop for your artwork if you had it printed out, blown up on a thing behind you. People would really want to stop and look at this stuff. And I mean, it's just it's fascinating. Your work is. You can just spend a long time looking at your stuff.
Oh, you see that? That's I apologize. Yeah, I think I should maybe make a blow up of some image and put it there in the background, like you guys are saying. Try that out. I wanted to comment on this image. This was actually done for Fangoria back in I think it was 2001. Angel of the Night movie that came out. They asked me to do the cover for that. It was actually for Blockbuster Video. Because they would, they would get movies and actually make their own covers for the movies, based on because they had certain requisites that you had to the covers had to meet for them to, and they were pretty. They had like a cookie cutter sheet approach. This one was a little different from what they normally would do, but I drew this one in Photoshop at the time, and you see that the neck area of. You can see that the bat is obviously a dress with the breasts there.
Yeah. What
they did, which I erased this image because I didn't like it, was they put two vampire bites right there. I don't know if you can see right there. See where the mouse is? Yeah, that little gray area. That's where I took it out. I should have done a better job, but whatever.
It looks great, and the chest is very subtle too. It took me a minute to realize, that's cleavage right there.
Yeah, I didn't notice either.
Yeah, it's a little subtle, but
that's good.
You see this really cheap looking blood running down the cleavage area, but I'm like, what vampire is gonna bite somebody there and close to the chest? It's usually by the neck. This is nowhere near the neck area. I mean, where a vampire would bite anyway. So yeah, that was But anyway, I still got that cover. But the movie was, I don't know if you guys ever came across it. Probably not. I didn't particularly like the movie. It was shot kind of nice, and for what it was a low budget, but it was shot pretty nice. And since you guys were talking about Bond, I have a Bond painting I did there. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I got.
Let's to the.
There it is. Yeah.
There it is. There you go.
Sean Connery.
Cool.
That is very cool.
Was that oil or acrylic?
That's digital.
Is that digital?
Yes.
Jeez. Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about, Vince. The way you use, and you told me privately that there's only a few brushes that you use in Photoshop, right?
Yeah, there's about 2 or 3 only that I work with. I use the airbrush, a sponge-like one that gives me like a painted type feel, but like a dry brush is what I get from that sponge, and another one is like it's like an oval shaped pencil type deal. But I actually make it. I use them all together to, like, that background you're seeing. That's that sponge one. That's what I use.
Okay.
And the pencil one, actually, I make it look like those brush strokes that you're seeing. They're like more of a sable type look. See?
Yeah,
and I also
kind of like a knife, cutting. Like, yeah, I can't right here at the mouse. It looks like a palette dab, right on the canvas. It's brilliant.
I don't think you'd be able to work actually with Image Comics because you draw feet too well. So I think that wouldn't be a good fit.
I wanted to ask you, what year did you do this in
I believe it says there 1990, right? Yeah, 1990.
This is acrylic or airbrush with gouache
acrylic,
or acrylic. Yeah.
Right. You know what I did there is that at the time I had a bunch of old Kirby monster books that had no cover. So what I did was I put them on the guillotine and I would chop off the spine.
That's why there's a spine there.
Make it like a thick book, and then I would glue the spine, and I made the cover, and I glue the spine to the cover, and that was a wraparound cover I did for it. But this is like a few years after, out of high school. I was still trying to work my best with acrylics, trying to achieve the best effects I could. And I can see the limitations of that right now when I look at it.
Oh, the highlighting is absolutely great. Like, that's what drew me in when I first saw it. It's the highlighting on this guy, and then I realized that's probably what. What's that? Sorry.
That you can see the airbrush in the fire back there in the sky.
Yeah. That's smoke. That's why I thought it might be gouache with airbrush, but acrylic is really nice.
Kazakh has a good question, James.
Okay.
Yeah, it says,
go ahead.
It says, Vince, have you ever done work for the video game industry?
I've been approached by a few of them, but they've been in the early stages, and then either they fall through or something goes wrong, and or the offer they make me, I wasn't sure if it was worth the time, the amount of time that you have to put into what they were asking for. So you got to weigh a few things out when you get asked. I haven't been approached by any of the big ones, the big guys. Pretty much like in
want concept art or fully finished renders.
Let me see. I've done concept work, but it's been mostly for TV commercial sets and things like that. I've done a few concept pieces. When they have to build.
They approach you though?
Huh?
Sorry, is that what the video game companies approach you to do? Is concept art or like finished renders so they can do the?
It was mostly character concepts, is what I got.
Yeah. Because I used to work for a company called Us Two Games. They made a video game called Monument Valley, and then Monument Valley 2. It's a mobile game, and they're basically all of that. So I was the social media guy, but all of the artists there. So I had a lot of them, and I know for a fact that they were all quite young. A lot of Americans actually that were working there in London, but they would love your artwork, and it's that kind of stuff that they were doing. Lots of character design, and doing some really cool stuff. If you ever I'm pretty sure people in the chat will know this game that I'm talking about. It's called Monument Valley. It's a mobile game, and I'm pretty sure they would love your artwork. I know one of them would. The head artist there, a guy called Davide, would love your artwork. He's really into that kind of. He's a big comic book fan as well, and he would really like the stuff you're doing. So I mean, unfortunately, their video games are a bit more. They're a bit more kind of cartoony looking. They're inspired by MC Escher as well. So it's all about
okay.
kind of never-ending staircases and things like that. That's basically what the game is. It's really cool, but like that area, I think should be something that I think would work. Your sort of artwork would work really well in that sort of video game space. And there are lots of independent video game companies that are popping up every day now, especially with mobile games. They're getting huge, and I think they would really, really love your work.
Oh, it'd be probably worth taking a shot at again. If I get approached sometimes by companies that go through ArtStation.
Yes.
But they want you to work full time for them. That's the offers that they've been giving. But I still would prefer to be on my own. If they offer something freelance, that'd be great.
If they can afford you, basically, right? Like they need to.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they probably could. But
I've noticed on your ArtStation, and actually on your, do you post stuff on Facebook and then take it down?
Yes, I do. I cycle work on it. Yeah, because I don't know. I got a feeling that people just don't see it anymore, and I figure I'm gonna have this huge gallery that's just sitting there, and I don't know if anybody's gonna navigate through it. Maybe it's I look at it sometimes like a portfolio. You don't want to take a portfolio to a client that has like 100 images. They're not gonna go through that, right? So I keep it down to 10, maybe 15. And then when it's been there for a little while, or if I get tired of it, or I think, because later artists, we come back and when we see our work a few days later, we're like, what was I thinking? And or I shouldn't have done that. Some pieces you're like very satisfied with and you want to leave them there all the time. But I got a few people have told me, just leave them there because people may want to come and just view through your entire gallery. So I'm reconsidering, and I think I'm going to be leaving more.
What I think you need to do is you should start a Patreon, and then you have your whole gallery on the Patreon. And then if people want to go see the whole portfolio, then they pay for the Patreon once a month.
I got on Patreon, but I had no clue how I would actually. It's kind of like, the one you guys were talking a little earlier, the one where they
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
And I figured, well, Patreon, I'm gonna have to put in a lot of work to keep up, and always thinking of how to give them incentives and what can I offer them every month and stuff like that. So, and if it grew, I wasn't sure how I could keep up with it because it's just I'm by myself, and if work comes in on the side that I have to do, it takes a lot of work. I mean,
it is. So, and for that, we apologize to Bobby and Zach and Danzig and Zach Scott and Sean Soundtracks. We apologize for that. But we're getting better. We're getting better.
Yeah.
But Vince, we'll talk about this all after in the coming days. I won't be your manager, but I can help you with all that stuff. No problem. So, okay. So can we switch gears here and talk about The Boys?
Yes.
You said you had just recently watched it, Vince.
Yeah, I got hooked fast, man. I didn't know about it all this time. I hadn't heard about it until a Facebook friend mentioned, because I forgot which character I drew. That
Butcher.
Huh?
Yeah.
Butcher. You drew.
No, it was before that. Butch came after I watched The Boys.
Yes.
It was before that. I did. I think it was some. Oh, I think I drew this old. I posted this old drawing I did back in like 2012. This character that had a cape. It was from the Facebook friend, and he had designed it. as back then, I would see people who were struggling with their characters. They post them, and the artwork. They weren't artists, so they were trying their best to showcase their idea. And I would approach them and I tell them, "Hey, look, I'll draw your character for free. I just want to practice." So I would draw them, and this one was called the Flag, and his cape was a lot like Homelander's.
Yeah.
Right? He saw this and he go, "Hey, have you seen the character? You should draw Homelander." And I'll go, "I'm not familiar with him," because like I told you guys, I've been out of the loop for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked it out, and man, I was hooked right away. And I got to start drawing these guys. These characters are too cool, and the stories were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never read the? Is it Garth Ennis, the
Garth
guy
Ennis and Derek Robertson?
Yeah. So you never read the comic books originally before the show?
No, actually, I started reading them last night.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really, really good.
They are. They're excellent, and the artwork fits.
You.
Yeah.
No, you know something. I was amazed at the artists that they've already pulled off like more than 50 issues. I was really impressed that they would have such a long run on this, but it's obvious that it's a really great idea.
Yeah.
The boys went for, I think it's 72 issues if you count Herogasm.
Wow.
And Derek Robertson actually has a new book out now called Space Bastards, and it's about a courier company in space, and basically you get the package, and whoever delivers the package gets the bounty, right? But all sorts of violence and mayhem can happen in between the couriers because they're all just trying to fight each other for that package. It's also got it's a commentary on society and like for the highest bidder and stuff. It's really really cool. And
it kind of reminds me of a comic book idea that I had. I drew a cover for it. It's called Battle of the Ice Cream Men. So they're basically battling out, for the block and stuff like that. I should send you the cover right now.
Awesome.
If you guys need to see it.
Yeah, I wanted to. Can I show them the Homelander you posted?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's the Homelander you did.
Oh, cool.
That's so cool.
I did that one yesterday.
That's a really cool one.
Or I posted it. Yeah, I did it the night prior. I'm sorry, and I posted it yesterday.
I really want to see your Frenchie.
I'm sorry.
Your Frenchie would be. I would really want to see you draw Frenchie.
Oh, Frenchie. Oh, yeah.
Are you?
Go ahead.
I was going to just say, are you on Instagram too? I'm just curious. That's a very visual medium. I have a lot of friends that post that do comic stuff, and also tattoo artists and stuff, and they will just put a whole gallery, and it's really easy to go through and see stuff. I was just curious.
Yeah, I do have Instagram. Yes.
Cool.
I just haven't fiddled with it for quite some time. I haven't posted anything new to it. I think it's been like maybe half a year or something.
Yeah.
But I made the account and it just sat there for a time because I focus more on Facebook. I feel for some reason I'm more interactive. I like being interactive with people, and I feel I get a much stronger interaction with followers because I like talking to you, and they'll write me, they'll message me, whatever. And I think it's important to stay in touch with people who follow your work.
And Instagram's not. Yeah, Instagram's not great on desktop either. So it's like it's a bit difficult to. You always have to be on your phone and stuff. So it's a bit. I can understand why it's not. Also, the thing that you were saying before about how you remove photos from your Facebook page and upload them, that wouldn't really work with Instagram because people like to look at your feed and like to just scroll through your feed. So you kind of need as many pictures and paint, works of art as you can possibly have on Instagram. So that wouldn't really work, unfortunately.
Well,
social media is annoying.
Yeah,
where you really need to be, Vince, is Twitter. That's where it's at. It's all positivity, and it's all fun and love.
And then head over to Reddit, and then why don't make your way over to 4chan while you're at it? Then you end up with 4chan.
I never was for Twitter, man. I made an account and it just sat there. I never tweeted, not once. And I'm glad I never did. I just didn't find it good for what I want to do.
No, Twitter can ruin your day. So really can. I always get messages from James being like, "Dude, stop answering people on Twitter.
Just leave it, man.
Just leave it.
Don't even bother."
I'm like, oh god, all right, I had to stop. I actually took a week's break from Twitter. I had a holiday, and the main part of the holiday for me was not going on Twitter, which was nice.
There you go. Well, it's like Arnie says, don't listen to the naysayers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
I really like that Fifth Element Mila Jovovich.
Yes, Mila.
You did like it's weird when
Mila.
you see drawings of human faces and their eyes and stuff. You can get something that looks like them and you could tell who it is, but you did a really good job of capturing what her real eyes do in real life. Like there's a weird twinkle in her eyes that makes her a superstar, that makes her what she is, as beautiful as she is.
Stare
And
she has,
something she's got in her eyes, and you managed to capture that. It's awesome. Really cool.
Thanks so much.
I think it's the detail in the iris and stuff, and just the lighting, reflections in her eyes is really cool.
One thing I've always tried to focus on trying to capture the person's either personality or essence, something in their look. And one of the strongest things that I focus on is the eyes. It's always been a favorite of mine. And eyes they're a little tricky sometimes, you know. When you least expect it, you can get it. Any little thing, it can make it look wrong. So I really focus on the eyes a lot because I think I can communicate a lot more with the viewer through the eyes. And if you notice a lot, especially I love drawing women, and if you notice, they all have, at least most of the ones I do, they have a stare. They connect with you. That's what I try to achieve. I get told a lot about the eyes, and or how the image sometimes connects with the viewer and things like that. So it's something I put, probably a good deal of, like this one. You see, I put a good deal of effort into achieving that.
Yeah, you can really tell.
It's like
this one and the Lilu, they got a lot of responses. I got, like, on the Lilu, I got about 2,800 likes on that one, and this one got about, I don't know if it was 1,700 or 1,800 likes. So I'd like to test out my images that way. I go, okay, how effective is the work I'm doing? And if you notice this one, I was here practicing with the hatch work, and the underneath, it's like a kind of the painting effect that I sometimes give. And I decided to go over with a thin hatch work to give the skin some kind of a texture, and it flows. I tried to get a flow going with the shape of the face. That's
the one thing in that Lilu one I noticed right away was the texture you put on her face too, instead of just like a clear color. So that really works really well with the patchwork of colors you have underneath it. I really enjoy that. But this is an album cover in itself,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the shiny reflections, like on the lips and stuff, on both the images are awesome. Like really cool.
And the eyes as well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
There's the eyes again there.
Yeah.
Right.
You can also really tell what your taste in movies is. Like I noticed it's like you got Blade Runner there. You've got some. I think was it Michael Fassbender for Prometheus. I think I saw.
Yeah.
And of course the Fifth Element as well. So I think I know what your type of movie is, what your preferred type of film is, based on what you're drawing.
I wasn't too excited about Prometheus.
No, but Michael Fassbender looks kind of iconic in that, doesn't he?
Oh, he was. He stole the show for me. I love his work. I really do, and I made that as a tribute to his work, that image, because I enjoyed what he did so much. He's the one that actually carried the movie for me. And kept my interest. He was really wonderful, and they had some massive talents on that movie.
Yes, they did.
Those eyes again, eh? Those eyes again.
There you go, the eyes. It's my focus there, but I was hoping Ridley would have gone back to doing grit, but in one of the interviews that I saw him, I don't know if it was a Prometheus, showing that they had. He said it wasn't going to be grit anymore, and I go, well, that stinks for me, because all I've been seeing him do is more polished looking movies. And one of the things that I loved about the original Alien, which to me was a masterpiece visually and everything, was that grit that it had to it. But these movies he's made is just a totally different. I mean, maybe they could just stand out with Michael Fassbender as his character, as a vehicle for the movie, more about him than anything else. I guess it could stand alone like that, pretty well.
Yeah.
But it just, the whole Alien, franchise just crashed and burned after Aliens.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I just would like to touch on the grit part. It seems a common theme with directors, though, like George Lucas, right? Like he went and he made the prequels all shiny and clean. And then even Robert Rodriguez, one of my favorite directors, if you look at his stuff like Desperado and El Mariachi, and even his that horror film he made, and then you see his stuff now, it looks very clean and sharp, but
Spy Kids?
Grit. Spy Kids, yeah, or like with the one We Can Be
on
Heroes.
Netflix,
It was really good.
Yeah, I
liked
liked
a really
it.
good film. Yeah. So, and the behind the scenes stuff is good, but again, I do miss that grit, and same with like Ridley Scott, and not John Carpenter. He still got grit, but
he doesn't do anything anymore.
Avatar, James Cameron.
Yeah.
James Cameron, man. When he made Terminator 2, Aliens, there's the grit.
James Cameron, the ruiner of franchises.
Here we go. Forget it.
Let's be honest.
Ruiner of franchises and Ray Winstone and his accents.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm right on both. Let's see how good Avatar 2 is. If Avatar 2 is any good,
hey,
I
don't think it's gonna.
I will
really
eat
like
something on this show.
No, I'm not saying Avatar 2. I'm not saying James Cameron's a god. I'm saying like it's like Vince is saying it's
yeah.
If
have
James Cameron
have you seen Titanic 2?
Oh no.
I haven't even seen the first Titanic. I've only seen bits and pieces of it.
There is a Titanic 2. That's the thing. It actually
I know.
exists.
One of the reasons that one of the things that cemented my not wanting to get into directing movies was that when I worked with these directors that I told you about that work for Hollywood, I mean, they told me, look, you're not going to be able to do what you want.
Yeah.
These guys, the suits will take you and say, you do it our way or it's the highway. And, we're talking Steve Beck. I mean, he's got some pretty high credentials in Hollywood. And he was the top, when I was working with him, he's the top director in the U.S. For TV commercials. So, and he was, very much sought after. And he told me, Vince, when I did the two movies, Ghost Ship and 13 Ghosts, I was being controlled from every angle. I couldn't, put in, my ideas the way I wanted to. And also the other thing that turned me off was that I was working with another director and I was seeing all the people that he had to handle on a job, and I found it very overwhelming.
Yeah.
I go, I don't know if I could handle that, having so many people under your belt that you got to look over and make sure that everything runs smoothly, because everything, it's Murphy's Law in film all the time. So
you can do both, Vince.
Huh?
You can do both. Like I would direct short films and create projects with a bunch of people. And then when the film stuff got too taxing, or like the stuff at the studio is too taxing, it's okay. And then I go and I just draw comic books, Like this is good. I need this, just me and the paper creating stories, not having that answer like 50 questions a day, or like 500 questions a day, right? You can do both.
And then you have to edit small screen videos in between as well, so that might be a bit too much.
Oh no, I can't do that stuff anymore. Are you kidding? Editing is life. Life is editing.
I did a few little short films with friends and stuff, and I added some special effects and everything. But this was back in 2003 or so, and you can't really expect me. I'd do them on the fly. I'd make up the story as I go. But I'm sorry, it was just for fun. So I would I would tell, hey, it was like a guerrilla filming. Really, we just go to a spot, film everything, then I come back home, put it all together over the weekend,
Yeah,
and whatever.
that was
But
my high school days. Going making films like that and staying up till 5 a.m. doing stop animation, that kind of
oh
stuff.
wow,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah,
Before
stop
you could
animation.
edit on a computer, so
That's a lot of work.
it was fun though, and it kept us out of trouble too. That was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but-
meanwhile, Clint was being a rock star and touring the world.
Literally.
All right.
Literally, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So were we gonna discuss some other topics? Because we're like an hour and a half in, and
Well, I mean, we were
would like-
talking, huh?
I would like to hear Vince's take on all the other stuff too. We're gonna talk about.
Yeah, well, there was Venom 2, which we very briefly got onto, and I just asked Clint if he liked it, and he said yes, I like everything.
If you liked the first Venom, you're gonna enjoy this one. It's
I still
fun.
haven't watched the first one.
You haven't seen the first Venom?
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Oh my god, the first Venom film is hilariously bad, but in a good way.
But in
That's
a good
what I
way.
hear.
Yeah.
What's fun is the relationship between Venom and Eddie Brock, and the way they carry on together, and it's funny, So they're trapped in the same body, having arguments and talking smack to each other. So it's hilarious. You know what I mean? It's fun. So anyway, I loved the first one. I didn't think it was the greatest movie ever, but I had a really good time, and I liked Tom Hardy. And then and you got him sitting in a lobster tank eating lobsters. And then this one came out, and it didn't disappoint. It was fun along the same lines. Fun. Woody Harrelson was great. Everyone involved was good, and it looked great. And so I enjoyed it. That's about as far as I can get without spoiling anything. But
Okay, better or worse than the first film?
it's well
About the same.
About the same. It's about the
Yeah.
same, except you get to see some new symbiotes, and that's cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Is there any Feige touches on it? Do you think there's more of a Marvel hand in the second one than the first one?
Well, the end.
Well,
for
I
sure.
know, but I am asking if there's any
No,
course correction.
Dude, it is very much like the first one. It's which is cool. I think it's a little better. But again, I'll say I watched Venom again the other night, and I hadn't seen it since it was in the theater in 2017, and I enjoyed it more the second time seeing it the other day. I was laughing my butt off. So when you're going into this thing, you don't know what to expect. You're trying to compare it with the comics. You're trying to compare it with other movies, all that. It kind of almost takes away. I'm sitting here analyzing everything, but when I just watched it and tried to have fun, I had a great time. So that's what I think. I think it's even more fun on the second watch, and seeing this Venom 2 was a lot of fun.
Would
I
you
enjoyed the first
say?
one. I thought that was a pretty good.
Yeah.
And seeing Woody on this one was interesting. I'd like to check that out. I really enjoy his work a lot.
And
Anything
nobody plays a serial killer better than Woody Harrelson. So you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, and he's just doing his thing. He's good.
I'm very happy they changed his hair though, because when you watch the first film, he's teased at the end of the first film. He's got an awful wig on, like a terrible curly hair wig. So they changed his hair in the second one. I'm happy about that. And this second one is directed by Andy Serkis.
Serkis, yeah. I was going to ask that.
I'm really excited to see it, mainly because of that. Actually, to be honest, I'm a big fan of his.
It's 90 minutes and it's really fast paced. The pacing is, they don't mess around. There's no fluff. There's no drag. It's like whatever points and things they need to get out, they find the fastest way to tell that story and just move on to the next and get you to where you need to go, to where you can finally see two monsters fighting at the end. And and like there's little details. They're like, okay, we need to tell this. Okay, and they just like, they don't pussyfoot around. They just get right to the point on everything, and it was cool. So it makes for a fun, action-packed 90-minute movie, and it was interesting. It was fun.
Do you think? Do you think there's something to say about the? Okay, I think we're going to have to talk about the.
Can I ask one question first?
Okay,
then, before? Okay.
Yeah.
Is Venom okay? It was Venom 1. Since I haven't watched it, I'm going to watch it. But is Venom 1 a Marvel movie?
Yeah.
It's
like Spider-Man No Way Home is a Marvel movie. it's a Sony production, but it's
Right.
obviously a Marvel movie. Is Venom, and then if whatever your answer, I want to know if Venom 2 is the same kind. Like if it, what is?
It doesn't
What?
feel.
They don't know what the what.
It's not quite a Marvel movie. It's like Marvel-esque, but there's some comedy to Venom's personality and character that is not that you wouldn't see in a Marvel film. You know what I mean? And you know, you've seen the trailers and stuff. He's talking with himself. That's a little bit out of the realm of what you would see in a Marvel movie, but I don't know. I guess they're going to make it work.
Can I answer that question for you, James? Because I can answer that question.
Go ahead, yeah.
So basically, what this is these Sony movies, which they aren't Marvel films, they're Sony films. Let's be honest here.
Spider-Man movies are Marvel films, though.
Yes, but that's the thing. That's different.
You
because
can see Kevin.
You can feel it when you watch the Spider-Man
Tears
movies. Yeah, you can really feel like these. You can think you're watching an MCU movie. That's what you're doing. These films. This is Sony desperately trying to have its cake and eat it. I enjoyed the first film. I haven't seen the second one, so I can't say. But what I can say after having watched the first film is that Sony desperately wants to make this Spider-Verse thing a thing, and they want it to be funny. They want it to be gory, but they don't want it to be R-rated because they know if it's R-rated, then they're going to cut their audience in half. So basically what they want and what they wanted with this Venom movie was to get that Marvel audience and get that Deadpool audience and kind of make as much money as they possibly can out of that. And that's what they did, and they did really well at the box office. The thing is, we're all saying that the first film is funny. I think it's funny in the bits where it doesn't think that it's funny. That movie, when it's trying to be funny, it's not funny. But it's kind of unintentionally funny.
It's kind of like the like when what's his name John Cena makes the starfish joke. You're like, that was the least funny part of that movie. You know what I mean? Like, but I'll say, man, there was a couple of times where I was just sitting there watching. I went by myself and I was sitting there and I'm just all of a sudden like. Like I just busted out laughing several times during that movie, and it was fun. And it's a lot of time it was little quiet jabs that Venom does to him that weren't the obvious ones, but it was just so much fun. Also, Carnage is pretty brutal, dude. He kills a lot of people, and it's
no blood though.
It's brutal, but there's a stack of dead bodies. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of killing that happened in that movie. Which I heard somebody else say on another show, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I think the audience score is somewhere like around 60%, and 60 something, on Rotten Tomatoes, and the first one was somewhere in the 30s, so that's good. But I could say the first day it sold domestically in the U.S. It sold. Shang-Chi did 8.8 million in the first day. Venom 2 has done 11.6 million.
Yeah, people love it.
So it's people are going out and seeing it. So so crazy times. I'm excited, man. There's so many good movies coming out. We got Bond next week. I'm gonna watch the Many Saints of Newark tonight. Is in the theaters and on HBO Max. So I'm gonna do that. It like every week we got in October is fantastic.
Forget about June.
No, I'm not forgetting about that at all. At all. In fact, I think I already bought my tickets to that.
Yeah,
you notice the advertising for the Many Saints of Newark has been really lax, like the last 3 months.
Oh, it's been terrible.
Yeah, they haven't been promoting that film at all.
No,
I'm going to tell you the best part. Almost like if the movie would have completely sucked. When I went and saw Venom 2, it wouldn't have mattered because I had so much fun in the beginning. Before the trailers were in this order: first, Morbius, and I'm like, sweet, I get to see Morbius trailer, and then after that, Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer came on. I'm like, yes, and then I'm sitting there, and then Dune trailer comes on. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like all the best movies. And then after that, the Eternals trailer came on, and I'm like, I was like, dude, I could just leave now. I'm already satisfied. And then the new Kingsman movie trailer came on, and that that was good too. But I couldn't.
Why? Wait a minute. Why you're like super excited about all of them? And now
Kingsman.
Well, no, the other movies are more up my alley. You know what I mean? Like if it
why? It's like Clint Baker likes everything apart from anything that's made by Mark Miller. He hates Mark Miller. So we found it out. He's like, fuck Jupiter's Legacy, fuck the Kingsman.
Yeah,
it's like,
that was cool.
Kick-Ass is the worst comic book movie ever made.
Yeah,
what do you guys think of the Eternals? I haven't seen it yet, but
it's not out yet.
It's not out yet. It's
the trailer.
Oh, it's not out yet.
No, but the
Yeah,
trailer.
What did you make of the trailer? I mean,
I thought the second trailer I thought was very good. The first one not so much.
Are you guys familiar with Kirby's version of the Eternals?
Well, I think James probably is. He's nodding. I'm not that familiar with them, I'm going to be honest.
Okay. No, I mean, I always dreamed of making a movie of the Eternals way back since like maybe the 90s. I even did a painting back then, trying to visualize them in a, as realistic as I could. And I was really disappointed in this preview simply because I haven't seen anybody approach the Eternals like Jack Kirby did. I thought his approach was, more, I don't know, grandiose. The characters had something about them that was more majestic, and so did the gods. The gods were very majestic. These gods, the way they're interpreting them now, to me, are very weak. And so are the characters, the new characters. It's nothing like what Kirby envisioned. My guess is, please do Kirby's first as an homage to Kirby. Try to visualize his vision, and then later maybe try to make changes. But I've noticed that throughout the years, the Eternals have gone through a lot of changes, and for me personally, not for the better. But
you can kind of tell that what they've done though with the Eternals is they've marvelized it. They've made it like they've really made it try to feel like it's part of the MCU.
Right. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, the closest they ever came to doing genuine Jack Kirby was the basically the multiverse scene in Doctor Strange.
Well,
that was
before we get there, Vince, you're gonna go see the Eternals, and they're gonna throw in some Kirby crackles, and you'll be happy. Don't lie. You'll see the Kirby crackles, and you'll be fine.
That'd be interesting.
And that's what I was gonna. Have you watched What If? Have you watched What If, Vince?
No. I mean, is it a series?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 9 episodes, I think it is.
And we've got the the final ones next week. Yeah,
it's on Disney Plus.
So the latest episode, there was tons of Kirby crackles, tons of homages to Jack Kirby's art style. Like, you should definitely watch the series on Disney Plus. And I saw those Kirby crackles last night. I watched it actually the day before, and I saw the Kirby crackles coming out of Doctor Strange and the Watcher. And those are for those who don't know, those are like the black dots, and it looks like space. And only Jack Kirby, he created that, and other people's paid homage to it. And like Starlin uses it, and who else? Infantino uses it, but it came from Jack Kirby. So, but yeah,
I always wondered
Kirby crackles, you'll be fine on the Eternals.
I never even knew they could have. I was wondering, could they even pull something like that off in film? The Kirby crackle.
Oh, well, it's animated. What If is animated, right? And they pulled off, and I've seen it in I think it was Batman. What was the Batman where it was a cartoony, like the really cartoony Brave and Bold, right? They did a lot of Kirby crackles in that Brave and Bold too. And in a couple of Marvel animated series too, and even in DC animated films, they always pay homage to Jack Kirby, right? Especially in the backgrounds when they're doing space. Yeah, so
I think Jack Kirby's probably I think they've found it difficult to adapt his stuff for the big screen. Like we had, that he was very involved with is it New Gods? And they were trying to do that, and then Ava DuVernay ended up. Well, they basically just stopped the project entirely, didn't they? It was Tom King and Ava DuVernay were doing that, and I just think that they got I think Hollywood struggles with Jack Kirby. I think they
The
find him a bit.
closest person who's gotten Jack Kirby has been James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Well, I
that's the
thought
best
the Thor did a pretty great job in capturing some of
Which
the
one?
Kirby.
Ragnarok
Yeah,
or
Ragnarok. Yeah,
yeah.
that's probably my favorite one. I think.
Yeah.
But
that's all-
you
that's
can,
the
I mean, it was
Taika Waititi,
deliberate. You
like-
could see it in the backgrounds and everything. It was a pure
Yeah.
Kirby.
That's
You know,
all
and I
Taika
thought that was pretty
Waititi,
funny.
I'm sure.
Huh?
Yeah. That's all the director too. Like the Taika
Taika
Waititi.
Waititi,
Yeah, he loves the source material. So he probably said, no, we need these backgrounds and have fun with the colors. And
Yeah.
I thought that was great that he did that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
I do think the Eternals film, it looks quite flat. When you look at it, it really does feel like it's Chloe Zhao, so she's obviously now Oscar-winning director, and I think to her she sees it more as almost like her kind of Game of Thrones type thing, and you really get that vibe about it when you watch the trailer. You think this looks kind of, it's not particularly colorful compared to like a lot of the other Marvel movies. So I mean, maybe that's just the way she wanted to shoot it. I wonder what's going to happen. I think I'm excited to see it, mainly on the strength of the cast and Chloe Zhao as a director. They're the two reasons why I want to see it. But if you're like a Jack Kirby enthusiast and you really wanted to see that version of the Eternals, I'm not sure if you. I think you might be a bit disappointed by it.
Well, I was disappointed with the preview itself, really.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make heads or tails as how they came to a decision to choose her as the director. I'm sure she's a fine director, but I'm saying, is she right for this? I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, she won Best Picture last year, so they're like, okay, we got the world's 2020's greatest director on the project. Yeah. Which
but
again
that doesn't mean she's going to get it right.
Agreed.
Well,
agreed.
Yeah.
My question is though, is that Game of Thrones feel, that kind of feel, is it just her, or I think Marvel's on board for it too? Because I think I heard Feige say it was kind of Game of Thrones operatic kind of thing way before she even signed on, right?
Yeah.
So, and he likes to put not his own spin on it, but like, so it falls in line, like you said, Marvelized with the vision of the MCU. But I think because they've gone out to space already, now they're approaching magic. And Marvel has a way of showing us the trailer, right? And we only see like the first 10 minutes of the film, and then maybe it is big, grandiose space opera. Maybe it does look like Kirby, and they're saving that for the big reveal. I don't know. And maybe Inhumans scared the crap out of them. So
I think that was the problem.
They're playing it safe with the Eternals, right?
Yeah, I think that might be an issue with them. What everything that happened on TV, like they didn't. I don't think I don't think Kevin Feige liked that at all.
No.
Yeah.
Where's that Bloodsport clip?
Jack Kirby laid it out on paper. I don't see what with the Fantastic Four and Galactus. It was a total disaster. I go, why do movies do this? You have it all laid out for you in a comic book, and by Jack Kirby, no less, who was so cinematic, right?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Feige's gonna fix that though. Feige loves Kirby though. He's gonna fix the Galactus is coming, right? The Eater of Worlds.
Fantastic Four's coming.
Yeah, they're coming, and it's gonna. And Feige knows that Fox screwed up the Fantastic Four franchise, and the X-Men.
Oh man,
that was the end. Yeah, really.
That's like my all-time favorite superhero group, and it was like a stab through the heart when I saw that movie. I was like,
which one? There was that the Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Any of them.
That was so bad.
The Torch was my favorite thing of all in the movies. The Thing, I was hoping they'd get a Jack Kirby style thing, but the Thing doesn't look anything like what I had hoped. And I know they're probably,
it's a guy in a suit.
Basically, it's not. They didn't.
Michael Chiklis, is that his name? The guy that plays him in that film. Yeah. God, those films are terrible. Yeah.
I was hoping to see the Thing with that big eyebrow that Jack Kirby would draw on him and stuff. And
I mean
that was so cool.
Yeah, it's and then there was the Fantastic Four afterwards. That film that was the Josh. Did you ever see that one? the Josh Trank one.
Yes,
was
actually, I was very biased at the beginning because they changed everything. I go, why? Another question, big question, why? But of course, it's from, I guess, the new universe that they had worked these characters out. Because I figure, how do you go from the original Fantastic Four to these guys? It doesn't make any sense. This is what we grew up with. Why do you make such a drastic change? Unless, okay, the previous characters died. I didn't know. But anyway, I sat down to watch it, and maybe because I was so much against it at the beginning, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I actually enjoyed it in some weird way. I thought, well, this is actually better than I thought. Maybe because I came in with that mindset. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But I thought at least the actors. Well, what's this guy's name who played the Torch? He's a phenomenal actor.
Michael. Oh, what am I? Why am I? I'm forgetting everyone's names. Come on, help me out, Clint.
Was it Michael
B.
Jordan?
Yeah. Michael B. Jordan. Yeah.
I was like, Chris Evans? No, that's the wrong one.
No, that's the other one. Yeah.
He did. I think he did a really great job.
I always thought that film was actually quite well cast. I liked Miles Teller as Mr. Fantastic. I liked.
He was wasted in that role.
He was really wasted in that role. And who was the? I'm forgetting the other two now, but I thought they were quite good in it as well. I think that the problem with that film was just it was a mess. Like, production was a mess. Josh Trank was
having a hard time.
Yeah, he was having a meltdown. And
he went nuts, man.
Yeah, and then it was all finished off by Simon Kinberg.
What happened?
It's a shame because he made one really good movie and then was just given like a big film far too soon.
Yeah, he was too young, and all of a sudden you have all this responsibility, all these things. It's like you were talking about earlier, like, yeah, being a director and having 100 people working for you and all this, all these people to remember and all. That's a lot of pressure. Especially,
I totally get it, man.
Especially big budget. You're like, oh, this is it. If I screw this up, my career's ruined.
And it's ruined because he was going to make a Boba Fett movie after that, and then they just heard how bad it was all going.
I agree with Danzig. Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, man. That probably is the best one so far.
That's the film that he made because they were going to lose the rights or something. Is that right?
That's the film that Fox made, but they didn't tell anyone, so everyone thought they were making an actual film, but they were just making it to shelve it. But man,
to keep the rights, wasn't it? It was to keep the movie rights. Yeah.
The bootlegs of that at Comic Cons in the 90s and early 2000s, that was like the dirty little secrets of Comic Cons. It was great. That and the Captain America, 1990 Captain America.
Wow.
I think
the rubber ears.
Could you guys tell me how they went from Galactus in the comics to Hurricane Katrina?
The cloud Galactus. Well, it's like
I didn't get that.
It's like Green Lantern when they did the big creature and it was just a big giant mist. It's just like Galactus.
Was it? Who was it that liked that movie? Green Lantern. Is it Mikey that likes that?
Yeah,
film?
It's Mikey. Yeah, Mikey likes
that film is so awful. It's like
everybody wants to know my thoughts. I'm like, did Clint like it?
Did he? Did you?
I'm like Homer Simpson into the bushes. I'm like,
you liked it, didn't you? You thought it was fun.
No, I was like, this is pretty weak. I was like, I was glad I wasn't at work. I was glad to be watching a movie, but it wasn't great.
The best part of that movie was Sinestro at the end.
Yeah. But
Rajneesh has a question for Vince, actually. Yeah. What's your advice for people who are starting out trying to do what you do?
Let's see. If you're considering let me start off first because I'm not exactly sure which part you're referring to. I'll cover all of it briefly. If you want to learn to draw, practice. There's no other way. No magic button, nothing. You practice, and practice some more. That's the rule. Learn from as many sources as you can. When I was growing up, it was all books that I had to pore over, comic books, art books, you name it, because I'm self-taught. I never went to school for this. So, but my schooling, because I was very persistent. So my schooling was books. And if I'd catch some kind of an art show on PBS or something, if I was lucky enough to see those, I'd take in what I could. The commercial aspect is, but a side note on that is that you have the internet today. You have the world at your fingertips. Okay, you have a university available to you. So if you have the drive, and I get it, some people tell me that they don't have that drive to keep going at it. They need a teacher to teach them. That's fine if you feel you got to go that route. But if you really wanted to, and you have the desire and passion, it takes a lot of passion to keep with it. Study it on your own. There's a lot of sources on YouTube and everything that you can learn from. Way more than I ever had. If you want to go into the commercial aspect, another thing, if you're going to go to school, it's going to be very expensive, at least if you're in the US. Very expensive. One thing that I found out that schools do not teach is what to expect when you're out in the real world. They're not going to teach you that. They're going to teach you how to learn to draw. When you get out there and you got to deal with people, you're going to be confronted by a whole different, monster as well. So keep that in mind. You got to learn to deal with people if you're going to be on your own. If you're going to work for a company full time, that could be a lot easier for you. You don't have to worry about, nothing else except what they ask you to draw up for them. And lastly, if you want to go commercial, which is where you'll be making the best money, like I wanted to do comic books. Comics pay per page, and you have several frames you got to draw. Storyboarding, I get paid per frame, so it's different, and it's a lot faster. You don't have to put so much work into doing so much detail or anything unless they're asking for it, and then they have to pay extra. All right, so if you plan to go out on your own, learn to deal with people. If you love your work, somebody gives you critique or tells you to make changes, don't get offended. You learn to separate your personal work from your actual money-making work. That's what I learned to do that early on. Separate myself from my personal work. I figured, okay, when it comes to doing commercial work, I'm getting paid to do what the client wants. If I do my own work, I do what I want. But always remember that. Don't take it personal. The client just needs certain things from you. Keep that in mind. And there you go. I hope I didn't rant too long.
No, that was good.
I speak from experience. So.
Yeah. There you go. Got you.
Yeah, that's true about getting out there and dealing with people and stuff. It's like it's completely different. Look, you can it's the same with voiceover. You know what I mean? Like I do voiceover work, and you go and you meet people and you take criticism and you're polite, and people like to work with people that are cool. So if you're a nice guy and easy to deal with, you don't get all offended by having to redo something. They're like, man, I had a great experience with that person. He's a good guy, but you don't teach a 19-year-old that when they're in school. You know what I mean? Like they just teach you the skills. So I thought that was some great advice for people.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of people get they get offended if the client says, look, I need to make these changes. This isn't the way I want it. So they it happened to me when I came right out of high school. My face would change, and when I was with somebody who accompanied me, they told me, Vince, your face changed right away when they told you got to make changes because you feel insulted. It's your baby, right? So I took that to heart, and I go, okay, I have to change this. If not, I'm not going to be getting any work. So my attitude, and it takes a little while to work it out. My attitude became, what do you need? When do you need it? Right away. Oh, listen, we got to make changes. What do you need? Yeah. You always want to meet the demands of the client. And, of course, you got to make sure that the client, if he goes the extra mile, he goes overboard, that you get compensated for. You just want to, within the boundaries, you want to do what the client's asking. He's paying his good money for it. Then, the least you can do is come through and in a timely manner. That's probably why a lot of clients come back to me, because I'm always on time or before time. I finish the job for them, because time is an issue. And they're very worried about it all, especially producers. Producers like, what can I have? They don't ask me anymore because they know I'm going to have it on time. So when you get that reputation, or you build a reputation, they'll come looking for you. Don't worry about it. And let me tell you, a lot of artists out there have a tough time achieving that, and it can work against them. So that's why I advise.
Deadlines are tough. Especially self-imposed deadlines.
Knock, knock.
That's
Charlie.
the intro. I'm sorry, I know that was happening.
Vince, Charlie.
Hello,
Charlie. What's up, dude?
Nothing much. My bad. I couldn't hop on earlier. I was in the middle of a midterm, so I had to finish that up real quick.
That's pretty important.
I guess I was backstage and I did hear Mr. Rodriguez's his point about like American school, and I wanted to say that was a great point. As an American student here, I feel like they really only prepare us for the workforce. They don't really prepare us to how to operate in a professional setting. You kind of have to get that from other clubs, other organizations that may be around the school, maybe depending on what kind of income area you're in. So yeah, that was a big point I was just listening to in the back. I do perfectly agree with you on that one. It's something I had to kind of learn on my own as far as how to interact with people.
Hey, by the way, if I didn't say hello, it's because the images were freezing up, so I may not have heard you. So my biggest hellos, and nice to meet you there.
Nice to meet you too.
Mr. Diesel, isn't it? I can't see. Yeah, right?
Yeah. I need to know what. Let me just.
What's your first name anyway? First name.
Charlie. You just call me Charlie.
Charlie. There you go. Charlie. Can I call you Charlie?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. All right. Charlie it is. Hey, yeah, I mean, I was, the reason I mentioned that, because I came across a lot of graduates that were tremendous talents. And I would see, it was a time that I worked for a couple of years for a company designing stuff. And they brought in a bunch of students from a school, and they didn't know how to react when they were getting asked to do certain things. And they asked me questions about, what it's like being out there. And I go, well, I had seen prior situations as well before them. So my advice to them is like, well, you're just going to have to hit it like a brick wall, because the schools aren't going to teach you that. I noticed that, sadly, if I was a teacher, I would certainly be telling them, but I don't know why they don't do it. But which school did you graduate from? I'm sorry?
Charlie. Yeah. Charlie. Yeah.
Charlie.
Oh, I'm still in college myself. I'm 21 years of age, so I'm still in college. I have one more year of school to go before I graduate with my bachelor's and associates.
I'm sorry, you guys froze up again.
I'm sorry. Am I clear?
Yeah,
I'm still in college myself. I have a year left before I graduate.
Oh, okay. You know what really hurt me the most? What hurt me the most about all these great artists that these guys drew really wonderful. What hurt me the most is that the amount of money that they dished out for these schools they were at. It's very expensive, and for them to not at least include something like that. I mean, it's part of your preparation. That's what I figure it should be, right?
What they don't really tell you when you're in school what the next step is. It's kind of like once you get this degree, everything will magically fall into place here, at least in America, that I've noticed. When they don't really tell you, like, hey, once you get this degree, learn how to speak to people, learn how to work on your appearance when you're in a professional setting, how to XYZ, the time management, all this stuff. You kind of have to find a mentor, or you happen to learn through YouTube video or whatever else you can learn to self-educate, but they don't really teach us that. Which, I mean, I'm not taking responsibility away from students, because it is our responsibility to learn these things, but it's not, we don't know that we need to learn these things till we get into that field.
Well, mentors are very important, I find, especially when you're graduating from high school, or even in high school. Having mentors is good. I think that's why like self-publishing in high school for me was good, because I met a lot of adults who were self-publishing, and they were kind of had careers in the art field, so they were kind of pseudo mentors. But a lot of the stuff like that Vince was talking about, you're talking about, where it's like the school doesn't prepare you to go out in the workforce or to deal with clients or stuff like that. That came from my parents. My parents taught me a lot of that growing up, and I was working at like a very young age, and my dad was working 2 jobs, but they always, like, etiquette was first and foremost, and being hungry, right, and being the go-getter, so and in Canadian school, I guess they teach you a little bit about that, but I don't know. It's just, so I'm always curious. Now, everyone, is the school supposed to? Like, when anyone answer this question? Like, in today's society, is the school supposed to teach all this stuff for you, or is it just supposed to teach you like the fundamental basics of learning and math and reading and nourish that? If you have creativity, nourish that creative talent. But then it's that. Go ahead, Clint. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I do exactly. I feel like if you're hungry, you just got to go out there and get it, man. If you want to be the world's greatest artist, you got to start emailing people. And I can relate this conversation to a musical career, and nobody taught me how to do that. I just had to go out there and meet people and put myself in situations where I was around other people that are trying to do a similar thing. And if you want to be an actor, go to acting class, not just so that you're around, not so that you're learning, but so that you're around actors. Go out to open mics and do comedy so that you're around other comedians. And then you turn into a comedian. If you're hanging out and you spend your time doing jokes and hanging out with comedians, all of a sudden you're a comedian. Same with art, same with acting, same with drawing, same with everything. And you can't hide. And now there's virtual ways to do this. There's YouTube channels, there's social media, there's new ways to interact. But I just had to start picking up the phone and calling people and be like, calling the radio station, and do that. And
it's funny, because that's what I was telling Edward earlier today too. It's like I had this guy contact me about being an editor, or like editing and stuff, and he kind of reminded me when I was in my 20s, but except the difference was I was knocking on doors and giving calls, or going up on websites and trying to find who in my area is doing the same thing in film or whatever. And you can still apply all those tools to what's going on now, right? Just I think it's just being hungry. Yeah, it's hard to find people that are actually hungry. I'm noticing, and I've been looking for some people. So except Kaz is pretty hungry.
Even as basic as putting putting and I'm not calling you basic, Vince, but I'm saying putting your stuff up on social media for people to see it. It's like if you kept those in a private folder, the world's not going to ever see that. So putting that stuff out there and just getting your stuff out there is how you do it.
Yeah, I've been putting my stuff up there for years, because I started like in 2012. But since I've worked in the advertising field, I have a little bit of knowledge as to what to have to do. Well, I mean, just in my career, that's what I had to do. I would pick up, in the old days, the phone book, look up a list of advertising agencies, just start calling. Hey, I didn't know how to talk at first, to sell myself over the phone. So I just kept doing it. I go, okay, I got to get this at some point. I even wrote it down and rehearsed it. And before you know it, it just becomes second nature, and you can get through to anybody, So all the points you made, Clint, I agree with 100%. And the arts are very similar, especially on the commercial side. And the more you hang around with other people that do what you do, you'll pretty much become that. Networking is supremely important, and that's part of getting your work out there. Just throw it out. So that's what I would do when I started off on Facebook. I go, okay, here's a great platform. I don't have to publish through a printer or anything like that, and I get my work out there. So I just started drawing and bombarding. And my problem was that since I was in storyboards, there's such fast work, you start getting kind of sloppy. So, okay, now I'll use this as a platform to refine my work and get better at it, the paintings and all that stuff. Because I was really just throwing it. When I look back, I go, well, this is a complete mess. But I've managed to, throughout time, get, hopefully better at it. And but I circulate the work. I would get into groups. I'd go here, I'd go there, and talk to everybody. It's caught on little by little. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but maybe it could. You never know. But you got to try. You got to really get that out there.
Yeah, calling people is very beneficial too. That's how I got Robert Rodriguez's phone number. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like 22, fresh out of film school, and probably told this story before on the show. But anyways, I called KMBFX. Edward's rolling his eyes. I called KMBFX, and I said, "Hey, this is Bob from Toronto. My assistant lost Robert Rodriguez's phone number and his contact details. Can you give it to me?" And they're like, "Okay, yeah, 1 sec." He's like, "This is Bob?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "This is Bob too." So I was talking to Bob Kurtzman of KMBFX. I didn't realize the top dog. So he gave me the phone number and the address for Troublemaker Studios in Austin, Texas, where I still want to go if I come visit you, Clint. So I called him up. I was like, "Hey, yeah, look, I just bullshitted my way to this phone number. I'm just like some kid who graduated film school in Toronto. I just want to talk to you guys." And I was talking to some guy named Chris, CG artist. He was working on Sin City at the time. And I talked to him for like 2-3 years until he left the post. But yeah, if I had a problem with something at the studio, DVD authoring or whatever, I could call them and he would So just get out there and just take chances like that,
Yeah.
I mean, I met Edward because I was fixing typos in the articles and sending them to him, only because he was covering Geekosity, and I messaged him and said, "Hey, thanks for covering, and did you know that this kid is plagiarizing your work and saying he wrote it?" Yeah, remember that, Edward?
I don't remember the typos bit. I'm going to be honest. I just remember you sending me an email being like, "This guy's pretending to be you."
Yeah, but then after we talked about this actually on the 1,000 subscribers show, but you were going through a storm, I think, in Italy. No, but I used to send you screenshots of the articles, and I'd circle the typos.
Yeah,
I
remember that. I remember that.
And I was like, "Damn it, I got to hire this guy." So, and then I went and did the video stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Charlie, what kind of work are you studying? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, for me. So
sorry, James. I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
I was just rambling. Don't worry about it. I usually cut myself all the time. I just surprised I haven't done it that much. So
we love you, James. Could you read the question one more time for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah. What kind of art are you studying? What do you hope to do?
So I am not an artist. This is gonna sound like a really wild tangent, but I'm getting my degree in rural studies. The way I got in contact with these guys was I have a podcast with me and my co-host Ethan Murphy, where it's called the Then and Now podcast, where our whole premise is we have my mentor. He's about 20 years older than me, so we have a 20-year age gap. So we kind of tackle things in nerd culture, mostly nerd stuff, but just culture in general from the different perspectives of someone who is, again, 20 years older versus somebody who's a little bit younger, and we kind of go at it from there. I've just always been really big. I enjoy this kind of content and like movies, comics, cartoons. So I was like, I would really love to create or be a part of like creating this content one day. So I'm not really, I try to think of myself as a jack of all trades. I'm trying to get into as much stuff as possible. Right now, my biggest effort is getting my podcast as big as I can possibly be. And I'm also a amateur video editor, which is kind of how I ran into James. He's been giving me a lot of tips and different things like that to kind of get my stuff off the ground.
Charlie.
So I wouldn't say that.
You're an artist. You're a good editor.
I'm trying to learn as much as I can and apply as much as I can with as much as I can. Let's stop the rambling on. And then also, these guys have been a great help to me. Like Clint's helped me get this crispy audio. James obviously helped me with the editing stuff and just helped me get our biggest guest so far. We locked in a Graham Nolan interview, so that's a big thing for me because I'm a big fan of his work and his characters in general. So I'm just excited. I'm a kid in the candy store right now. I'm very much so a kid, being 21, but I'm rambling again. So I'll stop rambling and just, again, thank you guys for everything. I already bled my heart out to James already, but Clint, Edward, you haven't done as much yet, but for whatever you've done so far assisting these guys, I appreciate all you guys so much. I appreciate you guys.
That's great, man. That's great.
Okay.
It's great that you're tackle everything you can, man. Get experience on whatever you can, and it's wonderful that you're spreading to different things that you like, because it makes the whole experience that much richer,
Yeah, we for one of the, so I'm in a big conglomerate called Bird Approved Entertainment, and we had on a different show we interviewed a guy named Bo Billingsley. He is a really good renowned voice actor. He has done like Cowboy Bebop stuff, a bunch of different animes or whatever. And he's around like 80 years old. We were talking to him. He was like, yeah, I took a year off and went and played professional football. Then I went and I was a lawyer, and then I was a voice actor. He's like, one thing that he loved about his life is that anything he had an interest in, he pursued it. And with 100%, I want to try to have a life similar to his, where anything I'm interested in, I'm going to try to do it the best I can. If it's for me, it's for me. If it isn't, it isn't. But just pursuing all my hobbies.
No, Charlie,
see what it takes.
You don't understand. I'm helping you with editing. So now you're locked in as an editor for the rest of your life. That's it. I'll go message you like, hey, I need this edited. Please help. And you'll be like, okay. And that's all you're doing for the next 20 years.
Charlie, you made a deal with the devil. Can you not? Did you not see the Reds? Like he's like in some kind of weird cave. He's pretending he's the Bat Cave. It's not that. It's hell.
I should have noticed the issues when he asked me to sign in blood, and I just was like, why not?
You lie.
And we got Chuck Pinot here. How you doing, Chuck?
What's going on? I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. You remember Charlie from the 1K show? This is Vince Rodriguez. Vince Rodriguez is Chuck Pinot. This is
nice to meet you, Vince.
Comic book editor extraordinaire, and then this is artist extraordinaire Vince Rodriguez.
Awesome.
Yeah. Gotcha. You were the creator for the
nice meeting you, man.
Stuff, right? Have we talked about it?
Pardon me?
You were the creator of the Belial stuff we talked about in the
yes,
stuff,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm still gonna check that out. I haven't forgotten. I promise. I told you I wouldn't.
That's okay. No, that's okay, man. I appreciate just that you remembered it. So that means all the world to me.
It was interesting. I told you. I liked it sounded dope, so I gotta check it out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I have a blast with that one. I'm working on the script for number 3 right now. So really excited and just bleeding that that world is so messed up because it's hell and it's dark, but it's also raunchy and very kind of Adult Swimish. So I have to check myself when I'm talking a lot. I end up being a little too witty, maybe saying stuff, and I have immediately I'll talk some shit. I'll be like, I'm sorry, honey. That was Belial talking. I'm way too far into that mode right now.
So what was that podcast you were just on? What were you talking about?
I was on a show called Comic Camaraderie, and it was with Chuck Dixon, and we were interviewing him and asking him about his work. And for me, it was more about his processes, because I have a YouTube show called Shop Talk, so I'm very interested in how people create and the different methods that they do. Especially as an editor, I think it's really important for me to kind of be a jack of all trades. I won't know how to actually I won't have the skill to be an artist, but I should at least understand how an artist is supposed to storytell and how the shading is supposed to work and all that kind of stuff. I feel like I matter more to my clients and to the story if I understand the nuts and bolts of all that. So I try to pick up on that shit as much as possible.
Yeah. Vince was just breaking down his process for us too. And we were actually just talking about how to be a jack of all trades is very versatile in today's market. Yeah. Especially when you're promoting and you're doing your own creative endeavors. So, but was he? Did you guys talk about the Expendables book at all?
Nope.
When he was on the show. Oh no way! He's so quiet about that. We don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, we didn't ask about that.
Is that taboo now or something?
I don't know. I know that there's all sorts of stuff that can be tough to talk about. So I just was like, screw it. I'm just going to talk to him about the nuts and bolts and kind of try to find out as much, sort of glean as much knowledge as I can and all that sort of stuff. Because really, I feel like that's what's going to help the listeners the most. And the other two guys were really interested in, tell us about making Bane. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sure people want to know that too. But for me, it's all how do you create. What sorts of things work for you? Like I ended up asking him about making pitches, and he's like, yeah, I don't know much about that because I suck at making pitches, and people usually just bring me into a project. And I was like, okay, so you were the wrong guy to ask. And it's funny because I've done that a lot of times where, like, I remember talking to a professional writer and editor from Marvel, and I was talking to him, and he'd been doing this since the 80s. And so I was like, hey, for you, what is the way, what is the best way to break in? And he looked me dead in the face and he said, I don't know, man. He said, the best thing I could tell you is be in Brooklyn in the 1980s. Like he said, the world has changed so much. I can't tell you anymore. And it's true. Exactly. And there was something both disconcerting and relieving about that answer, because I thought, cool, I don't need to do what you did. I just need to find out how I'm going to do it. And that helped me a little bit, because my ass is not going to be in New York.
No, exactly. And we were just kind of talking about that. And before we were talking about Kickstarter with Vince, and how that's changed the landscape of independent publishing. Because you and I have talked about how, like, in the 90s, it was completely different with self-publishing and the zines and everything. But if you look at Vince's work here, like,
wow.
And he's not working in comic books, not even for covers right now. He's doing just a lot of commercial work. I'll bring up some more.
Oh, that Vince is gorgeous work, man. Are you trying to break into comics?
Oh, I've been trying that since like the late 90s. I have no luck.
So,
DC did approach me last year for a painting, but it was for a fancy restaurant in England. But they told me, okay, we're going to send you the project, and then they would stall for about 2 weeks, and then they touch base with you. Okay, we're going to do it now. Another stall, and then they stalled for a whole year. Finally, when they came to me, I couldn't do it, and I had to turn them down. But that's probably, I mean, I was telling the guys that I did some independent work, with comics, but it's really not easy. It's not easy breaking into comics.
See, I told him if there's anyone to talk to, it'd be the Chuck. You know what I mean? Because you got your hands in so many different pies, right? So
I mean, honestly, I feel like that's kind of what you have to do now to get in. Is you really do have to. I mean, at this point, what I would tell you is make your own, like straight up, make your own. Show off what you can do. Have something done that you can show off. And you know what, man? Comics are friggin' expensive. I don't know how much I can swear here, and I'm used to cursing a lot, so I'm trying to hold back a little bit.
Oh, we're past the 2-hour mark now, so go ahead. You're fine.
Fuck yeah. The thing is, like, so comics are so damn expensive to make. They just really are. And so as soon as you start to tell someone, you should make your own comic, they ask, puckers up and everything. But Vince, this would be directly for you. So maybe a lot of people out there won't be able to take this advice, but Vince, I think this would help you. Make a comic. Find a writer who you respect or you appreciate or you think can really kind of finish up a project, something that you think you would be excited about, be able to show off, be able to kickstart, to get your own audience and all that kind of stuff. And if you go, I don't want to pay him, no problem. A guy like me, you could come to me and you could be like, hey, I want to work with you. I want you to write for me. I can't necessarily afford to pay you, but I'll do a cover for you. And that would be huge. Just the idea that you could swap out. And we're always into that. There's one guy, this amazing colorist. I'm not going to mention his name just because we have this little deal that I'm about to talk out and I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he wants me on all of his stuff to help with editorial. I have no issue with that. And he was like, and then anytime you need coloring for your covers and stuff, I'll do that. And I was like, oh, damn. Okay. So I effectively have a guy who's worked Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, like all these huge things. And his name will be on all of my covers, which is absolutely huge. And all I have to do is help him anytime he brings out a book. I have no problem with that. So for you, Vince, I would say, come up with a concept or come up with someone that you want to work with who can get you like a good solid one shot or a short mini series or something like that you can get out there. You can crowdfund, whether it's Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever you guys decide. You can make it happen so you have something tangible that you can show people and that you can show, because the thing is that you obviously, dude, your work is fucking beautiful. You obviously do amazing work, but your storytelling, that's what people need to see. And that's such a massive part of comics. And so to have someone, especially an editor, be able to flip through and see what you can do and see how you tell a story and all that kind of stuff.
Well, he's also
that's
a storyboard artist, Chuck.
So that would be my suggestion to you. Yeah. Okay. So you can, well, though we will, I do remind people a lot that doing storyboards and doing a page of panels are two very different things. Yeah.
Sorry. That's what I was telling the guys.
But they have,
we broke this down earlier. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get across. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
They do have similarities, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's comics is completely different. You have to lay out a page, and you got to make sure those story flows correctly from panel to panel. And unlike storyboarding, which just one panel describes, a scene, and it's similar to comics, but it's very different because you're jumping from one thing to another, or comics has to have a certain flow. But the thing is that I was telling the guys, I don't do it very often. And then since I don't, I could make an illustration, that's fine. But when you're doing a page, you start off with one style. You might start refining your work more and more as you go through the book. You wind up with a different style or something.
That's a beautiful thing, though, Vince.
Keep it consistent, right?
I don't think that's a detractor, though, Vince. I think that's a beautiful thing because I like when you read a comic run and it's by the same writer and same artist for 20 issues. And you see the style evolve, that's amazing. Then all of a sudden they switch teams, and it's like, oh, I can't really read this book anymore because these aren't the characters I fell in love with. If you look at Dave Sim when he started Cerebus, his artwork was completely different from issue 1 to like issue 300, right? It completely became refined, and that's a journey you go on with the creator, right? I think that's a pro for it.
No, but the problem with me is that this happens in the same book.
That's fine. No, that's fine. I've seen it in graphic novels. I've seen it, and that's you're going on the journey with the artist.
I even think about the first page, and I'm like, man, it just doesn't match the last page. And just when I was starting to get comfortable, the book is done. And then who knows when another one's gonna come up.
Well, that's it. And then you're like, okay, well, let's go to the second book now.
Then maybe what you really need is like a mini series.
Yeah.
Well, maybe what you need is a mini series. But what could also be nice is having someone there. So like for me, as an editor, when I'm on a book, I often also have to do like art directions. Now that doesn't mean I'm gonna teach you how to draw because I have no I have no right to do that. Your stuff is amazing, but I might say things like, "Hey man, I'm noticing now that this character's jaw has suddenly become a little more square, whereas before it was a little. Can we shift that up?" And so you have someone who can kind of have your back and go, "Hey man, I'm noticing this inconsistency. Let's tighten this up." And it's especially as a freelance editor, it's our job to explain things and to be there for you. But you've hired them. So they can be as much of an asshole as they want, but you can still fire their ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're working with Marvel and that guy owns you and is going to tell you this is what you're going to do because you're on contract. No, it's the other way around. So I would come to you and I'd say, "Hey, Vince, love what you're doing, man. But, we're seeing some inconsistencies. Let's look back at those pages, try to tighten up those phases, make them look more like that." And just, it's more like a coach in your corner. Kind of telling you, "Hey man, you're the one playing, but when you're out there, you need to be thinking about this and that." So I would suggest, if you're going to build up a team, that's kind of what you want to build is people who, and I know right now I'm basically telling you, "Hey, take me," but that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, take someone like that who has those qualities, who can kind of guide you along the process and give you those reminders and is going to be a partner.
Well, I'd had two situations that I worked with editors, One was with
Okay.
Zenoscope,
Sorry.
and another one
Vince.
was with the guy from Zenoscope was a guy who used to work for Marvel, and
Hey,
there was
Vince.
another one who was an independent, and I saw them in situations like to
Vince.
yeah.
Sorry, man. We're gonna have to end the show. But can we continue talking backstage?
Sure.
You guys mind sticking around for like 5-10 minutes? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Edward, it's what time is it there? It's 4 in the
3
morning.
a.m. Yeah,
3 a.m. Yeah. Okay.
Woo!
You have he's in France, guys. So
yeah,
he's pretty tired. I know Clint's he had a late night last night, but I've got this stuff I can talk for like 24 hours. So, but yeah.
Yeah, time
Okay,
flies.
so Vince, everyone can reach you at your ArtStation, which
they can check out some of my work there at ArtStation, or go to Facebook at my name, Vince Rodriguez.
Vince Rodriguez. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
and I post regularly there, almost every day when I can, so they can see a lot of different stuff coming up.
Okay, Charlie, where can we reach you?
I guess best place would be Facebook under the Then and Now podcast. We got a bunch of stuff coming. First video essay under the tutelage of Mr. James here, and we have our first comic that we're going to be producing underneath us coming out hopefully within like the next couple months.
Very nice. Yeah, and that's with Ethan, right?
Actually, no. This is something an independent project me and my best friend are creating. Ethan's helping us like with
that
editing.
one.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that one. Yeah.
That'll be good. Okay, Chuck, where
Yes,
can
sir.
we reach you?
You can track me down, Chuck Pineau. You can track me down on Facebook, on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter at Chucky Pin. You can find Chuck's Raw Reviews on YouTube, where you'll find my show, Chuck's Shop Talk, where I talk with different guests every Tuesday at 10 Central or 10 Eastern. I talk with a different guest and go over the nuts and bolts of their processes and whatnot. And then you can find my personal publishing company, Bonfire Press, on Facebook.
Excellent.
Awesome. And Clint Baker.
Hey. You can find me. That's right. The OG Clint Baker. Or you can find me on youtube.com/Clint Baker channel. OG Clint Baker's Twitter and Instagram. So hit me up on either one. And I might even be streaming on my channel here in a little bit. I'm going to grab some food and then see how I feel. So I might even see you guys, hopefully some of you guys later tonight. And man,
What do you
Vince,
got going on next week?
next week, I got. We're gonna do verses on Tuesday. I can't remember what. I know we're gonna do a spoiler Venom conversation, and we have some other stuff going on. There's so many movies and Halloween stuff going that my brain is cluttered right now. But Vince, man, it was really good checking out your artwork. You're super gifted and really good artist, man. I was really impressed with your stuff. And Chuck, it was good to hear from you again, man. And Charlie, it's always good to hear from you, man. And Edward, get some sleep, buddy. I love you. And James, hallelujah, James.
Edward, where can they reach you?
I can't remember. No, it's so it's Small Screen Co. and EJ Lauder. That's Twitter, Instagram. You can go to TikTok as well. We're on TikTok. Yeah, and like and subscribe. Fucking like and subscribe. All right, there you go. That's your little clip, James. No, go over there and hit the fucking like button. All right, you hit it now. You motherfucking hit the fucking like. I just told you to hit the motherfucking like button.
How many more of these?
There you go.
He's so quick with those. I love it.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's tough when he's not here, and you have to do it. You have to present the show and do that at the same time. It's not easy, and then try and make sense when you're talking as well. It doesn't make it really. It's not good for people that can't multitask.
That's why I don't talk much on the show. And when I do, it's all just a bumble of words. So it explains everything. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you, guys.